Chapter 1495 Long-awaited reunion. It may be related to the ultimate taboo now that I think about it. At some point near the end, he was acting a little shady, Wuhong related. The Grand Sect Alliance suddenly became interested in a prisoner I have who is related to the Desire Heart Palace. Dugu Tianbai may have discovered something related to them or something related to the power of desire and obsession, Wang Wei explained. So, he has become more dangerous? I know I should have acted more petty and tried to kill him during the taboo, Wuhong stated. Well, there is no pill for regret, so no point in complaining now. Come see me as soon as you're available. No problem, Wang Wei replied before ending the conversation. Meanwhile, Maitreya sighed after what Wuhong did. Was that necessary? She asked. You have the luxury of trusting these people, but I don't, Wuhong replied coldly. You have a point, Maitreya sighed. Listened, this is for you, Wuhong said before throwing her a talisman. What's this? An unknown portal hidden in our world. I believe it is the source of the upcoming catastrophe, Wuhong. You found it? I've been worrying about the sudden change to the world ever since Time Eater's death, Maitreya said as she used her divine scan to find the location pointed out by Wuhong. Are your senses that terrifying? Maitreya asked as she realized that even if her primary body searched for this thing, the result would have been the same as the vessel. So, the fact that Wuhong could find this thing is further proof that she will be miles ahead of Maitreya and Supreme Unity once she reaches their cultivation realm. You're overthinking things. I designed the Hong protective system, so when I sensed a flaw in our defenses, I checked and discovered this thing, Wuhong explained. The previous power did allow her to sense something wrong with the world, but even then, she could not find it. It was only after using that power with the protective system that she succeeded. If even you couldn't sense it, that means the person or persons who designed this thing are powerful beyond my capabilities, Maitreya said with furrowed brows. The future is indeed bleak, Wuhong nodded. But it's also an opportunity. Maybe, alright, I'll check on this gate, but once I'm done, I have something to talk to you and Wang Wei. Alright, Wuhong nodded before teleporting away. Recent events had numerous applications, and she needed to oversee things in the Origin Seal continent. Once she returned home, the human destiny sword flew out of her body and into its altar before disappearing between heaven and earth. Meanwhile, back in the Eternal Ascension world, Wang Wei condensed a temporary body from the Dao Qi from the surrounding. He wanted to rush desperately toward the Origin Seal continent, but knew now was inappropriate. Instead, he returned to the Dao opening sect with ancestor Yan Hai. The two teleported to Origin Mountain, which was the place where elder meetings used to take place. As soon as they arrived, the power of luck rushed into the mountain, slowly condensing into numerous figures. Wang Wei noticed the memorialized luck he created from the sect for all his achievements in the lower dimension went to 3 people, and he guessed who they were. He waited with bated breath for the process to finish. What? In a hurry to see your wife? Ancestor, this is not the time to be teasing me, especially since an eternal single person such as yourself cannot understand the yearning and loneliness I've had to live with. Yan Hai's lips twitched. Boy, did you get a little arrogant after becoming a paragon? Do you want a taste of my bamboo? Ancestor, I'm just joking. Can't you take a joke? Wang Wei smiled wryly, and Yan Hai snorted coldly. The revival of these people from limbo took a few hours, to Wang Wei's distress. The final result, with the help of a small amount of merit from Yan Hai's actions, was that the 3 primals, Qiyuan, Battle Maniac, and Desolate, returned with a peak Empyrean realm, and the rest were either great emperors or lower. The world of the living, Qiyuan muttered as he took a deep breath. It feels so good to be back alive. So true, Desolate replied, opening his mouth to swallow qi from the source like a whale drinking water. Battle Maniac stretched his body before making a short martial arts punching routine. Thank you, Qiyuan said as he held Wang Wei on his shoulders. For everything you've done for us, the sect, and the world. I was just doing what I'm supposed to, Wang Wei replied politely. Heavenly Tao has burdened you with great destiny, but you rose to the occasion and even exceeded expectations, Qiyuan smiled. The kid is not trying to hear all this. The only thing on his mind is to reunite with his wife, Yan Hai suddenly said, making Qiyuan and the others chuckle. In that case, we won't hold you up. We still have to recuperate, and you also must heal. There will be plenty of time in the future to talk and get acquainted. Wang Wei nodded before flying in the distance with ungodly speed, and as soon as he was out of the formation range, he teleported away. Oh, love, Miscellaneous sighed deeply. The others rolled their eyes at him. Qiyuan focused on Yu Kai and Elder Yan Shui. Should we say something? Battle Maniac asked. Based on how Wu Hong was behaving, she was distracted by something, and someone reminded her to erase our memory, most likely him. He knows when to put her interest above ours, and when to put ours above hers, so there is no need to worry, Qiyuan replied. I'm starting to think you have too much faith in him, Desolate said. I concur, Battle Maniac added. Add me to this list of concerns. You've been different since the taboo, Yan Hai added. To be precise, you've been acting odd since you saw the kid in the lower dimension. I've told you before, I know I've reached my limit. I've been worried about the future, but now I've found someone who can break my limitations and lead us to a better future. I understand passing the torch, but for many of us, it looks like you've retired and even given up, Desolate added. Maybe, I subconsciously haven't fully accepted my new role despite what I say? Who knows? But to reassure all of you, I have not given up. I know he's young and has a lot of room for improvement, and he'll need my help to hold the reins until he's ready, Qiyuan replied. That's all we wanted to hear, Battle Maniac patted his shoulder. After this brief conversation through divine sense, the group focuses on the remaining sect people. Welcome, ancestors. You two did an excellent job keeping things together during that tumultuous era, Qiyuan praised. It's all Primal Seed Wang Wei's effort, Elder Yan Shui said. That's right. Without his guidance, we may not have survived the Heaven Lock, Yu Kai swiftly added. You don't need to give your credit to him, Desolate added. Although we couldn't intervene, we watched all your efforts, sacrifice, and humiliation to protect our legacy. You will be rewarded for your achievements. Thank you. Origin Seal Continent, Wang Wei stood less than 2 meters from Wu Hong, looking at her captivating eyes. Everything around faded, leaving only her presence. He wanted to rush into her arms, but hesitated. However, Wu Hong had no such scruples. She flew into his arms and kissed him passionately for a good minute. What was that for? That's for all the days I spent thinking and missing you, Wu Hong replied. And that's for letting me think you died. She pinched his waist and Wang Wei winced in pain. I really had no choice but to fake my death, Wang Wei sighed. Anyway, did you miss me? I did, Wu Hong nodded. After succeeding in her perfect foundation, and discovering she was sealed, Wu Hong distracted herself with other projects while occasionally thinking about him. However, when she felt their connection severed and realized he may have died, she felt a great pain in her chest that was almost unbearable. When he revived, she felt her gray world had regained its color. This experience made her realize she was in love with this man who embodies unpredictability, contradiction, and hypocrisy. It's just that her previous experience with a bad relationship and his weird relationship with the clone have prevented her from fully accepting him. How about you show me how much you truly miss me? Wang Wei asked, and Wu Hong happily reached for his lips. However, she suddenly stopped midway through and started smelling him. What's wrong? Your soul, why does it have the smell of another woman? She asked. What? There is a unique aura from when someone has intense lustful thoughts toward you, and it's in your soul. Based on the intensity, it's not from someone who admires you from afar, but someone you had close contact with. So, who is the other woman? You can detect such a thing? Wang Wei looked at her with an absurd look. He realized that if the cultivator world were monogamous, men would never get away with cheating. Are you trying to deflect the question? Wu Hong asked calmly. No, I'm just baffled why you have such an ability. Still haven't answered. It's from the Heavenly Serpent Empress, Wang Wei replied. Who? You may know her as the Serpent Boulder Empress, or Lu Chuntao. Oh, her, Wu Hong realized. So, what's your relationship? Transactional, Wang Wei replied. You reminded me I should return her artifact. Sun Junyao had already left before Yan Hai took action, but the broken transcendent artifact was still in Wang Wei's hands. It seems a lot has happened while I was away. How about we talk about it over tea? Wu Hong offered as she led them to the dining area. Wang Wei sighed. That bastard Si Meihui ruined the moment they were having. This woman is slowly becoming the bane of my existence, Wang Wei thought as he walked with her. For the next hour, he explained everything he had experienced since she entered the dark truth. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1496 The Conversation, unedited chapter. Wang Wei lay his head on Wu Hong's lap and she gently played with his hair. He finished recounting everything he had experienced. See how much I have suffered. I understand, she nodded. Any relationship with heavenly Tao is almost like a curse. So? Wang Wei asked. So what? Why don't you rush over and teach that woman, Si Meihui, a lesson? Wang Wei asked. You should avenge your own grievance. Don't you know I'm a feminist, so I don't hit women? Wang Wei asked. Say that to Lu Meixiu, Mo Xingyun, Tong Ruobing, all right. And, wouldn't being a feminist mean you have no problem hitting women and men? Wu Hong countered. Now, we suddenly care about the definition of words, Wang Wei rolled his eyes. If the situation were reversed, you would expect me to beat the other guy. Of course. Wouldn't you want to show me how strong and masculine you are? Wang Wei replied, asking with an innocent voice and eyes, making Wang Wei's eyes twitch. Fine, you win. I don't know why I tried to argue with you in the first place. I thought I was the two-faced one in the relationship. Little brat, you're still a few epochs too young to argue with me, Wu Hong sneered. As soon as she uttered these words, she regretted them when she saw the glint in Wang Wei's eyes. She knew he was about to make a sexual innuendo or joke about their age difference. Wash your words, she immediately warned. You're no fun, Wang Wei scoffed. There is a saying back on Earth that marrying a daughter-in-law 3 years older than the groom will bring prosperity to the family. He was lucky to find a daughter-in-law billions of years older, but he couldn't take full advantage of this fact. How egregious. Now it's your turn, Wang Wei changed the subject. What did you experience inside the fog? Things started as you said. After sitting down, the materials appeared, including a few not included in your experience. Wang Wei nodded. Wu Hong was a former primal, so it's expected that the process of establishing a transcendent foundation would be different or more challenging. The process was more dangerous than expected. Grand Dao's consciousness descended, trying to force me to experience a tribulation for the process. So, it has started regulating these foundations? Wang Wei asked. It appeared so. It makes sense since it regulates everything. Continue. I finished the process and tested my new strength. But then, I realized I was sealed, Wu Hong continued. And before you ask, yes, I'm more powerful than before. I'll catch up and surpass you soon, Wang Wei said through gritted teeth. It's good to have dreams, Wu Hong lightly tapped his face. Now that I had more time, I started working on the 12 and 13 foundation. However, as soon as I closed my eyes, I realized I could remember some events of the taboo. Oh. In the last trial, I met a woman standing in this white space that seemed to be the origin of everything. She first showed me the alternate timeline you mentioned. Really? Wang Wei was immediately intrigued. The alternative timeline he saw focused mostly on him, and the Wu Hong he saw was already grown and established. So, he did not know much about her. According to that timeline, I should have ascended during the Devil Race's War of Conquest. That's even earlier than the First Origin War, Wang Wei commented. That's right. The destiny to kill the primogenitor devil was mine after he had made my life a living hell, Wu Hong explained. The woman then revealed she was a version of me, and she cared deeply about losing one of her disciples, so she rewrote the timeline to erase the latter's existence. Erased? Why not just change it? I had the same question, and she said the disciple was the karmic manifestation of her pain and suffering. She saw countless timelines, and in all of them, the latter dies, and she suffers devastating emotional pain. So, she took the opportunity to erase her. That sounds harsh, Wang Wei commented. He suddenly remembered the only time he saw lower dimension Wu Hong cry. But, what opportunity was she talking about? I asked, but she only answered with a smile. Wu Hong shook her head. Of course she did, Wang Wei sighed. What else? I didn't just see the other timeline, but experienced it. I experienced all the trials and tribulations of the devil race eradication, the first and second origin war, and the tribulation from our relationship. Wang Wei was silent. Did you know that after you created that clone for Sun Junyao, I spent billions of yuan epochs fearing you were the clone and she had your real body? I would never do that. I know, but I could not remove that irrational fear from my mind, and it became a deep insecurity for me, Wu Hong sighed. Didn't I try to appease you? He did, but only years later when I couldn't hide it anymore, Wu Hong replied. Well, it's his fault he took so long to notice. Don't worry, one day, they'll search for him and beat him for all he put you through. Now is not the time for your cheekiness, Wu Hong said with a smile as she pinched his handsome face, and Wang Wei gave her puppy eyes. After experiencing that timeline, she asked me to choose. Choose? As in choosing a timeline? Wang Wei asked. Yes, she wanted me to choose which timeline I wanted to be the primary and secondary, or whether I wanted only to remember one, Wu Hong explained. Since you're here, I'm guessing you chose our timeline? Not exactly. I fought with her. You what? Wang Wei asked. Not physically, but verbally, she explained. Why? Wang Wei asked with lips twitching. Our timeline is obviously better, but it's only because she meddled in it and changed things. I am not too comfortable with her changing things and messing with my life. But she's you. She mentioned that, Wu Hong nodded. Meaning you would make the same choice if you had her power. She also argued that, Wu Hong continued. So, you agreed with her? While she was correct, I still don't like the fact that she meddled. You realized how absurd that conversation was from her point of view, Wang Wei commented. She was communicating with an alternate version of her past self that was technically still her, but that self disagreed with decisions she made, to be precise, decisions that self will eventually make. Well, maybe not make the same decision since the alternate self now has different experiences and preferences. I'm getting a headache just thinking about it, Wang Wei said. We figured as much and had a laugh, Wu Hong chuckled. Wang Wei imagined the beautiful sight of two of these beauties laughing and chatting and had a smile on the corner of his mouth. He only woke up when someone pinched his side. So, what did you end up choosing? He asked. I asked her whether that choice was important, and she told me that at her level, it was only a minor thing. However, she also explained that the slightest change or improvement is extremely precious at her level. A world in which the little things matter because everyone is too powerful and can do everything? I guess it makes sense, Wang Wei nodded. I chose this timeline, but I wanted to remember the other timeline as well. So, she removed their influence on my memory, Wu Hong sighed. The meeting with her future self was the first time she had met someone so powerful. She now understood why Wang Wei accepted events related to his future self. The power difference is too vast, and the only thing you can do is accept and hope. I'm glad you had such a wonderful experience. My future self is a jerk and never speaks to me directly, Wang Wei complained. She had a message for you, Wu Hong continued. Oh. Did she want to remind you that our love is eternal? Just because she's me, don't think I won't consider it cheating if you get with her, Wu Hong warned, making Wang Wei speechless. Wu Hong chuckled at his facial expression before becoming serious. She said to be careful of the time nexuses. Time nexus, Wang Wei muttered. These words sound familiar. He suddenly sat straight on her lap with an ugly expression. Did you think of something? The other you, she warned me of the same thing, but I forgot. How could you forget something so important? Unless someone placed a spiritual hint on me to ignore such an important warning, Wang Wei said with an ugly expression. Who? Who else can it be? Grand Dao, that bastard, Wang Wei said with gritted teeth. Wu Hong warned him around the time of the Heaven Will battle, just before she dissipated. Afterward, Wang Wei had direct connection to Grand Dao when proving the Dao, which should be the time he was under that spiritual hint. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1497 Wrath's Choice. Wang Wei exhaled to calm down. His relationship with that bastard Grand Dao was never good to begin with, so it's understandable why the latter would act against his interests. The question he wanted to know was why. What's a time nexus? Wang Wei asked. I don't know. I know some people use it interchangeably with fate nexus, Wu Hong replied. Fate nexuses were inevitable events of a cultivator's life imposed on them by the river of fate. Some historians also refer to important events of history as time nexus, and they will be careful when using the river of time to travel to those eras to observe, but I don't think she meant that, Wu Hong explained. Could it be something that is going to happen to me? But she could have called them fate nexuses. Maybe they have nothing to do with fate, but things that happen due to your actions. There is also the fact that these events are technically in the past from her point of view, hence why she used time nexuses, Wu Hong commented. You have a point, but I don't like all the uncertainty for something so crucial, Wang Wei groaned. Didn't the other me tell you the details? Oh, well, I remember she was being all careful when she told you. You remember? Wang Wei immediately asked. You removed the seal. Well, I realized you accepted the fact I wasn't her and treated me as such, so I removed the seal, Wu Hong replied, and Wang Wei looked at her smiling like an idiot. Focus. Then, stop being beautiful and cute, Wang Wei countered, making Wu Hong roll her eyes. Maitreya said she wanted to speak to both of us. You can ask her if she knows the meaning of time nexus, Wu Hong uttered. That's a good idea, Wang Wei nodded before exhaling deeply. He looked in the distance. It's time for me to return. Indeed. You're in terrible shape, and I have responsibilities to attend to. One more thing, will you revive that girl, Hong Meiling? I don't know. She had potential as long as she removed her obsessive veneration for me. However, in the upcoming catastrophe, spending 1 million yuan epochs reviving someone is unwise. So, I may wait until I reach that help to revive her. Maybe I can preserve her potential, Wu Hong explained before looking at him. Why are you staring this time? I just realized I never experienced your master-apprentice side except when you're beating me. You mean teaching? Yeah, teaching, Wang Wei said with air quotes. Unlike you, I enjoy raising and molding the next generation, she replied. That's too much work, and they usually become a burden, Wang Wei scoffed. Unless they are family or people with great talent, I'll only do the bare minimum if tasked to train them. You know, sometimes you have such a binary way to see the world. Okay, now we are attacking people's flaws, are we? Do you really want to go down that path? I don't think you want to get into this. Oh, really? What are my flaws? She looked at him intently. Don't listen to my stupid mouth. You're perfect and flawless, Wang Wei immediately answered. I think you're talking about Sun Junyao, Wu Hong countered, almost catching Wang Wei off guard. Sun, who? Who's that? Is that a new or old friend of yours I've never heard about? Nice try, Wu Hong snorted. Wang Wei smiled wryly before handing her a crystal-like object. Is that the nurture core? Yes. It'll be healing and cultivating, so I thought I would leave it with you to start the study. That's a good idea, Wu Hong nodded as she played with the crystal in her palm. Wait, Why did I just realize I'm doing all your work and research for you? First was the 10 to 12 foundations, and now, this thing. And here is your payment, Wang Wei said before giving her this existence blueprint technique. However, Wu Hong just stared at him. Hell handed over even without this project, making this pointless. Now, honey, it'll be going. Remember that I always love you, Wang Wei said before kissing her on her cheeks and disappearing from this place as if he was running for his life. Wu Hong smiled while muttering, your family is not here to keep you in check, and your reverence for your ancestors won't last once you're at their level. However, don't worry, they'll be here to keep you grounded. Wang Wei's way of acting is easy to understand. The more powerful he is, the less restraint he has, and the more reckless his brilliant mind has him acting. That's what happens when someone who pursues absolute personal freedom gets access to ungodly power and a mind without any cognitive blockades. She disappeared from the room into a hidden dimension of the continent. In this place, a similar situation to the Tao opening sect was occurring, with the revival of her disciples and other members of the continent. Wu Hong raised her hand to fill 2 people in the front with a small portion of merit. Their bodies and faces became more ethereal, revealing 2 people with quite similar faces, except one was a man and the other a woman. They were twins. The woman had a red hanfu, and the man wore blue robes. As soon as they appeared, their bodies released the aura of a paragon with a cultivation of 90%. Master. The twins bowed. It's good to see you again, Wu Hong nodded with a gentle smile. We're sorry to have disappointed you, the woman said. We did try our best, the man nodded. Don't worry about it. I have just acquired something that should help you, Wu Hong reassured. Song Luli and Song Jiang were the people closest in the Origin Seal continent to becoming a primal. They had developed their ultimate technique and unique Dao skill but failed to reach the time mark requirement. They did their best in the taboo to reach that realm, but the result was regrettable. However, after Wang Wei reminded her of the absolute killer, and having access to the nurturing stone, she had an idea on how to help these 2. Master, what did you get? Song Luli asked. However, her brother immediately lightly pushed her with his elbow. Since the master said she has something to help, you don't need to know what it is, just wait for it. Song Luli stuck her tongue at him in defiance. It's not ready yet, and you still need to recuperate, so don't worry about it, Wu Hong replied, already used to her disciple's temper. Master, we can oversee the return of the others. You don't have to wait here, Song Jiang said. It's all right. It's been a while since I saw them, and I miss you guys, Wu Hong said before waiting for everyone to return. Meanwhile, Wang Wei teleported to a domain outside his sect's territory. He had contacted Si Meihui to meet and return her artifact, and they agreed on meeting in a neutral location since Wang Wei did not want to enter her palace, and she did not want to appear in the Dao opening sect's territory. They met atop a mountain near a small mortal village in the Dao Song domain. As Wang Wei waited, a portal appeared not too far from him and Si Meihui appeared with all her sexiness and charms on full display. Still not as good as my hunger, Wang Wei thought. Where is wrath? Where is my weapon? Wang Wei summoned the black orb, and Si Meihui scanned it with her divine sense. You're ruthless, she commented while staring at him. She could tell he had removed all his methods to complete this artifact, including traces of how he did it, meaning Si Meihui could not even use his repairing idea. Where is wrath? Wang Wei asked again. About that, there have been some complications, Si Meihui said with a bright smile. You're joking, right? Wang Wei said, his eyes becoming dangerous. Don't think because you're stronger than me that I can't get rid of you. Oh, I know, love, Si Meihui replied. She had seen him destroy the lock and understood the implications of his actions and the history behind them. It doesn't appear that you do. Otherwise, you would not be playing with me right now, Wang Wei rebutted. All I said was the situation was complicated, not that something had happened to her. In fact, maybe she should explain it to you. Si Meihui waved her hand to open another portal. Wang Wei looked at the beautiful wrath with her and frowned. What is she talking about? He asked. I am not leaving with you, Wrath said. What are you talking about? Wang Wei's brow furrowed deeper. Wrath looked at Si Meihui, and after her encouragement, she continued, while you were gallivanting around saving the world, I've formed a deep emotional bond with Empress Si Meihui. So, I've decided to spend the rest of my life with her. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know at report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1498 Yan Hai's Wisdom, What in the hell is going on? Wang Wei asked incredulously. You heard what I said, Wrath said, her eyes firmer than a divine cultivator's firmament. Wang Wei stared at her before blatantly using his divine sense to scan her body. You! Wrath said with aggrieved eyes, but Wang Wei ignored her. He wanted to know whether she was under control or any kind of influence, so he was brazen and invasive as he checked her. Is this really necessary? Si Meihui said with a smile. This does not concern you, so stay out of this, Wang Wei warned. She's my new consort, so it does concern me, Si Meihui countered, but she did not stop him. Wang Wei did not find anything, despite using divination and peeping into her past. Stockholm Syndrome? No, it's more like she wanted a new person to protect her, and Si Meihui took advantage of her vulnerability, Wang Wei analyzed. Do you understand the consequences of staying with her? The world is about to experience a catastrophe unlike anything anyone has ever seen. Her strength as a primal might make you think she can protect you, but her foundation is weak. She can barely protect herself. You don't have to worry about mine or her security, Si Meihui butted in, but Wang Wei stared at Wrath, waiting for her answer. I understand, and my choice remains the same, Wrath replied. What about your other brothers and sisters? Gluttony has chosen to build a home for the future ascenders, and the others have chosen to reincarnate for a second chance at the eternal path. Once everybody is settled, Gluttony will also follow the others. We all have our own paths, and this is mine, Wrath replied. Wang Wei peered into her soul through her eyes. He realized this was her choice, which she was committed to following, no matter the consequences. Well, since you chose this path of your own free will, I won't say anything anymore. I've gone above board for the promise I made to your master, and whatever happens to you from now has nothing to do with me. That's what I want. I hope you're happy, sincerely, Wang Wei added. Thanks, she nodded, and he casually threw the weapon to Si Meihui before teleporting away. There was no hesitation or reluctance in his actions. Wang Wei wiped his hand clean of this karma. Wrath watched him leave, her gaze slightly dazed. What? Already regretting your choice? Si Meihui teased. Of course not, Wrath smiled. I just feel a little sad since he had such a great influence on my life for so long. That's normal, Si Meihui nodded. If what Wang Wei said was true, he kept his promise to her master and went the extra mile, forging a deep bond with Wrath. Come, let's return home. Wang Wei teleported home, still feeling absurd by everything that had occurred. Time is advancing, and the people in his life are changing, some to the point of becoming unpredictable by even his brilliant mind. While he was heading to his room, Wang Wei sensed a presence and his lips twitched. Ancestor, don't you have anything better to do? I actually don't, Yan Hai replied. Her time in limbo and the merit she received have allowed her to return to the peak of the Paragon realm, meaning she only needed a small retreat to regain her full strength. What brought you here? Wang Wei asked with a sigh. I want to know your progress with my future daughter-in-law. Come, tell me and be honest. Wang Wei was speechless. He did not want to believe in the stereotype that women like gossip by nature, but the current arguments were appealing. Well, what are you waiting for? Wang Wei sighed, our relationship is closer, can even say we're companions. But I feel there is a small and thin layer between us. He did not say that because they haven't slept together, but because of a feeling after the recent interaction. It's probably because of Nu Liang, Yan Hai said. She mentioned they had a short fling, but she never gave me too much information, Wang Wei said. Nu Liang was a handsome and charismatic man with a golden tongue. During the war, Brother Qiyuan tasked him to convince the battle spirit world to side with us, and Wu Hong was his protector. They grew close during that mission and almost became a couple. So, what happened? Wang Wei asked. It ended like all her other relationships. He grew envious of her strength and potential, so he tried to bring her down instead of rising to her level, Yan Hai sneered. She had no interest in relationships, but she despised these types of people. I guess I should thank him, Wang Wei smiled. His fake connection with Wu Hong was never going to guarantee their relationship, so he was glad all these other guys blew it. You're nothing like those guys. On the contrary, you challenge her to be even better, so I believe you will succeed. Give her some time, and she'll overcome these insecurities. I will, Wang Wei nodded. Good. My ability to dangle my seniority over her will lie on you. Don't disappoint me, Yan Hai nodded before preparing to leave. Wait, ancestor, I have to file a complaint against you, Wang Wei said as he remembered something. Yan Hai looked at him strangely. Kid, what did I ever do to you that you didn't deserve? You lied to me about the Empyrean taboo battle realm, Wang Wei said, not hiding the dissatisfaction in his face. Oh, you're talking about that. I didn't lie, but used the sect protocol. The sect's protocol is to lie about such an important matter? Wang Wei countered. We usually leave hints for people with talents early on before guiding them to this path. My original intention was to slowly give you hints after you ascended, but who would have thought you would succeed in the lower dimension? Yan Hai shrugged. Wang Wei's lips twitched. Who designed such a stupid system? Who are you calling stupid? Yan Hai appeared next to him and hit him with a bamboo stick, which was extremely painful. Kid, what do you know about educating the next generation? Do you know that the immortal cultivation system is designed to limit creativity and ingenuity? When Brother Qiyuan and Brother Li were young, they discussed countless ways to improve the origin system. After a few million yuan epochs of cultivation, Brother Li lost most of his creativity, and Brother Qiyuan had to spend years barely getting his back. You were lucky to reach this level at an astonishing speed, but I bet even you have been influenced by the system. After realizing how the system was designed, you probably accepted it as a fact and never tried to find a way around, didn't you? Yan Hai asked with a sneer, making Wang Wei's body paused. He was indeed too quick to accept there was no way for him to make his Empyrean real unique, which was unlike someone like him who likes to break the mold, who likes to rebel. By your reaction, I'm guessing I'm right, Yan Hai chuckled, her eyes filled with mockery, which made Wang Wei embarrassed. We have long realized this, so we designed the stupid system to motivate our disciples to think creatively while also playing within the rules of Grand Dao's system. Wang Wei coughed to hide his embarrassment. Ancestor, you know young people like me always have the mentality that we know better, so don't mind me. By the way, I noticed you've only achieved the Paragon Taboo realm. Is there a particular reason? Trying to bring up my sore spot? Yan Hai asked in annoyance. Not at all, I'm just curious. Kid, haven't you realized how lucky you are to be born in such a powerful sect? Yan Hai sighed. The first time I heard about the taboo realm was when I was at the Great Emperor realm, and it was a hint from the heaven-opening paragon. However, our relationship was not so good back then, so we did not trust him. The first time I met someone in the taboo realm was during the Paragon Heaven Will battle, and that bastard almost killed me and Qiyuan. We would have died if not for our Paragon artifact and working together. After the battle, Qiyuan deduced that this person had entered the taboo realm and wanted me to delay absorbing the Heaven Will to enter the taboo realm while he protected me, but news was released that I still had my Heaven Will. Brother Qiyuan tried his best, but he was just a new boundless paragon, so many people attacked us. I had to use it. We could only enter the Paragon Battle Taboo realm after our sect was established and we had plenty of resources, time, and opportunity. Wang Wei was silent. Sometimes, he forgets the privilege afforded to him by his birth. He forgets all the sacrifices the ancestors made so that someone like him will have the benefits and advantages they did not. This conversation also made him realize how lucky and wonderful his future wife is for all she has accomplished. Thank you, ancestor, for everything you've done for me and the sect." Wang Wei bowed politely. "It's weird seeing you so sincere." "Regardless, I accept your bow," Yan Hai said before disappearing, leaving a chuckle that echoed in the void. Wang Wei sighed before walking into his mansion. He did not call Xie Huan or Wang Qi. Now that he was alone, it was time to check Heavenly Dao's special reward. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1499 Heavenly Dao's Machination. As he closed his eyes, Wang Wei found himself in a white spirit with 3 items, a massive purple cloud, a golden scroll, and an orb with a small moving dragon. He looked at the cloud and smiled. As expected, his reward for this event was immense. "There is enough for me to reach the peak of the Paragon realm in 500,000 yuan epoch, and cultivate a peak soul in an additional 100,000 yuan epoch," Wang Wei thought. Since he'll be using the best time acceleration array, he'll only have to spend 60,000 yuan epoch for his soul and cultivation to reach the peak. The only trouble is that rebuilding his body will also take some time. Wang Wei turned to look at the orb with the dragon, and immediately shook his head. "No, thank you," he refused. It was a pain to be the chosen one in the previous era, and he had no desire to do it again for the upcoming catastrophe. As soon as he refused, this spiritual space trembled, and someone else appeared. It was a woman with jet black long hair, dressed in all white, with her robe leaving a trail behind her because of its length. She was extremely beautiful, almost to the point of appearing fake because of how perfect her features were. However, upon gazing at her, Wang Wei found himself incapable of thinking about her in any disrespectful or sexual manner. Her aura reminded him of the doting love of a mother, and the only thing he wanted was to rush into her embrace. The woman was the epitome of beauty, but her appearance had a major flaw: her icy and indifferent eyes. "Heavenly Dao," Wang Wei muttered. "I didn't know you could take other physical forms than that. I figure this appearance might be more appropriate for negotiation," Heavenly Dao replied, her voice devoid of any emotions, almost mechanical. "If you're here to convince me to bear the burden of the upcoming catastrophe, you're wasting your time," Wang Wei said. "In my long years of existence, I've blessed many talents with grand destiny, but your family is the only one I choose 3 times, and each time, they've risen to the occasion, and even exceeded my expectations. The upcoming resetting and ascension of the world will be my most outstanding work, and I need someone reliable to ensure success. Name your price, and I will consider it as long as it's not too much." Wang Wei was slightly surprised, not expecting such forthcoming from Heavenly Dao. However, he will not change his decision because of such temptation. The catastrophe will involve too much, and if he's too involved, he'll easily reveal the fact that he's the one responsible for the all-heaven fate calamity. The catastrophe involves whether he can reach the level of half-step transcendent. Although he believes the catastrophe will help him, he can still walk away, and that will only delay the time needed to reach that realm. However, the all-heaven fate calamity involved his path of true transcendence, so he knew which was more important. "What if I make you the Heavenly Emperor?" Heavenly Dao asked. "You will legally be in charge of all the laws of heaven and earth, and blessed with immense power or authority." "That is tempting," Wang Wei muttered, but he knew the pitfall of such a title. As a true Heavenly Emperor, he will have the legal right to rule and establish a court, but these overlords and other lineages would never accept his reign without absolute power. They would do everything to undermine him, and the amount of time Wang Wei will have to spend playing politics to slowly build the strength of his court is a nightmare just thinking about it. I don't want to like the Jade Emperor in all these prehistoric novels, with no one respecting the heavenly court. Plus, unlike him, I can't be running to Heavenly Dao for help like he runs to Hongjun, Wang Wei thought. "My answer is still the same," Wang Wei replied. "Anyway, don't you already have someone perfect for the job? Kong has been working hard and planning for this position since the trial. Since he wants the job, give it to him. Kong is talented and filled with immense potential. However, I need someone with experience, someone who has been tested for the upcoming catastrophe. Do you think Wang Chishan will accept this great task?" Based on his former behavior, he looks like someone who is retiring, so I doubt he'll accept, Wang Wei said truthfully. True, Heavenly Dao sighed with her icy face. It was apparent she was in distress, but her expression remained monotone. That leaves Wang Gua. While cunning, he pales compared to you regarding strategic abilities or an overall grasp of the situation. What other prospects are there? Wu Hong has not been fond of me ever since what happened with the protective system. Dugu Tianbai is too ambitious for his own good, and Ning Zheng is too close-minded and has too many secrets for my liking. Are you sure you don't want this great opportunity? Wang Wei smiled in response. Why was Heavenly Dao mentioning these names before him? Probably to stroke his ego while also eliciting sympathy so he can change his mind. Sadly, this kind of tactic is useless for him. Once he made up his mind about something so crucial, the chances of changing his mind were slim to none. It seems you have made up your mind. How disappointing. Heavenly Dao did not wait for him to say another word before disappearing. The spirit realm collapsed and Wang Wei found himself in his room, surrounded by his merit cloud and the scroll. I thought she would act in anger and take away the special reward, Wang Wei thought as he slowly opened the scroll. The title immediately caught his attention, Merit Exchange List. Wang Wei furrowed his brow as a few thoughts flashed in his mind. But he controlled himself and continued reading, Mortal Realm, Great Emperor Realm, Empyrean Realm, Paragon Realm, and... Wang Wei immediately chose the mortal realm with his divine sense and the scroll changed, revealing an extensive list of rare resources with a price attached based on merit. He checked on the others, and it was the same. By Grand Daos balls, this world's Heavenly Dao really knows how to plan a grand event, Wang Wei smiled. It did not matter whether the upcoming catastrophe was a direct invasion or a simple intervention of foreign powers. Heavenly Dao had already designated these people as karmically negative to the eternal ascension world, which allows the citizen to earn merit by killing or dealing with the threat. Then, the citizens can use that merit to exchange for rare resources to increase their strength, ensuring they survive the catastrophe. It's a brilliant move, especially since there will be transcendent tier resources, meaning that even someone like Maitreya will have to do her best, Wang Wei thought. What is one of the fundamental aspects of the cultivation world? Benefit. Heavenly Dao knows this and uses this fact to the fullest. It really planned everything, Wang Wei sighed. From the 81 tribulations to raise the eternal ascension world's destiny, to the golden era that cultivated numerous talents, to the ultimate taboo that made the world the semi-destiny center of the chaos universe, and now, this catastrophe, which will start the transcendent era throughout the chaos universe and guarantee the eternal ascension world's status as the center of the universe. The Heaven Cardinal should give this Heavenly Dao a raise, Wang Wei joked before focusing on the scroll. Now that he had early access to the scroll, he needed to take full advantage of it. He scrolled through the Paragon tier resources and immediately complained that these things were too expensive. For example, there is something called the Paragon Heaven Will, which will guarantee someone to become a paragon, no matter how bad their talents are, with the limitation that it does not apply to people who wish to become boundless. Such an item was worth a quarter of all the merit Wang Wei had received. Wang Wei shook his head before buying two things. The first was an essence reconstruction pill, which would allow him to recondense his body in about 5,000 yuan epochs, which is only 500 yuan epochs with time acceleration. The second item he acquired was something he had never heard of, called the Grand Purification Talisman. Wang Wei planned to use it to remove the residual effects in his existence from using the abomination blood. Although he did his best to isolate the impact or influence from his soul, there were still residuals that he was worried about, and this talisman was the best in the Paragon realm. A portion of his cloud disappeared, and it pained Wang Wei slightly. He complained about Heavenly Dao's greed and the price of these things before inviting the four ancestors and his future wife into his soul network for a meeting. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1500 The Advantage of Early Access, and I Changed My Mind. His name is Dugu Badian instead of Dugu Tianbai. A handsome, muscular man with a burn mark on his chest slowly walked out of a blue pool. With a thought, a silk black robe with golden dragons on the cuff manifested on his body, along with a silver white hairpin that meticulously and neatly arranged his jet black hair into a bun. A mirror manifested before the man, and he looked at his appearance with piercing, hawk eyes that could easily intimidate anyone. The man slowly stroked his goatee, which gave him an air of nobility and authority. After ensuring his appearance was perfect, Dugubadian slowly walked out of the revival room. "Alliance leader," said an elderly man dressed in blue robes with a scar above his left eye. "Ping Dai Tan, you did a great job in my absence," Dugubadian said with a smile as he patted his shoulder. "I'm only keeping the rein for you, my lord," Ping Dai Tan bowed deeply. Although he was the alliance leader during the Two Suns Seven Moons era, he knew his position and never grew too ambitious or forgetful. In fact, he was chosen for that position because of his situational awareness. Dugubadian nodded. "What have I missed?" "I want a detailed explanation." "I have left everything in your throne room." "Good, lead the way." Despite his words, Dugubadian walked in front while Ping Daitan followed. They soon reached a large red room with a black gold throne and numerous books and scrolls on the floor. "It seems you haven't forgotten," Dugubadian said with a smile. When he was young and first started cultivating, Dugubadian entered the Duga clan's library in search of a cultivation technique that suited him. He found an old communication jade talisman hidden in a corner, believing he had discovered a rare and ancient technique. Unfortunately, it was a prank by one of his uncles, and the talisman contained countless nude drawings and pictures. Ever since then, he preferred using books and scrolls instead of those damn talismans. "How could I?" Ping Daitan smiled. Dugubadian sat on his throne and read all the scrolls individually. He took his time since the information presented to him involved everything that had happened since his disappearance. Ping Daitan waited quietly, and Dugubadian took his time. By the end of this session, he held two things in his hand. The first was a picture of Wang Wei in his right hand. After reading everything, he had already decided this man could not stay alive. All signs showed this person would be a primal paragon, which is not a big deal after the ultimate taboo. A few people had fortunate encounters, and there should be a few more primals after a while. The issue is that this man was another brilliant mind like Qiyuan, and he might be even more dangerous. The Dao opening sect cannot have two such talents. There is also his connection to Wu Hong, Dugubadian thought. He still hasn't completely given up on acquiring her. As long as he can reach the next realm before her, shall be his. However, Dugubadian's primary concern now was a marriage alliance between the Dao opening sect and the Origin Seal continent. These two factions are already too close for his comfort, so Dugubadian's last wish was an official marriage sealed through marriage. Dugubadian put the picture away and looked at the scroll in his left hand. It was the list of the top 5 contributors in the battle against the Heaven Pre-March. He looked at the list again, focusing on the only name from the upper dimension, Wang Fushuan. Did I make a mistake back then? Dugubadian thought. One of the turning points in his life was the First Origin War. A few million years after becoming the first primal paragon in the Golden Era, news of Yan Hai's ascension to the same realm as him soon spread. Then, before he could react, the Dao opening sect started an unprecedented war to switch the primary destiny of the world from the upper dimension to the lower dimension. Dugubadian immediately opposed them, leading to a massive war. The First Origin War was the primary cause of the Grand Sect Alliance's creation. He gathered countless factions who wanted to oppose Qiyuan and his actions. However, near the war's end, Dugubadian realized he might lose and made a selfish decision. He did not betray his side but retreated and pledged neutrality. His decision allowed him to recruit many factions from the lower dimension who were fed up with the war, those who also wanted neutrality, and those whom Qiyuan rejected for one reason or another. That single decision allowed him to preserve most of his strength and build the largest faction in the world. However, it also ruined any chances the people of the upper dimension had of winning. Although Dugubadian knew he had made the correct choice, he sometimes wondered what could have been if he had waited and continued his previous course. There is no point in regretting now, he thought to himself before putting the scroll away. What is the situation with acquiring Blackheart? Wang Wei said he's willing to exchange him, but the price is to be negotiated. More importantly, the ambassador was too eager and might have revealed some information. Of course he did, Dugabadian muttered as he leaned on his chair. If he knew in detail what kind of person Wang Wei was, he would have personally chosen the ambassador for the meeting. Dugabadian tapped his finger on the armrest while thinking of his next move. A low-level member of the Heart Desire Palace is the perfect approach to study the item he discovered in the ultimate taboo, but he also did not want to reveal too much information. Right now, he should be recuperating from his injuries, and once that's done, he'll be using all the merit he received for his achievements. We won't see him publicly for a while, so let's wait before sending someone else. As you wish, Ping Daitan nodded. One more thing, we must cultivate more talent for the alliance. Send words that we will enter war mode. Ping Daitan narrowed his eyes. War mode meant more free distribution of resources and increased training for all alliance members. Sir, I don't mean to question your decision, but the other Vice Alliance members. Now that the ancestors had returned, the Vice Alliance position would be returned to the other 4 primals. Don't worry about it. They'll agree with me, Dugabadian said confidently. In that case, they'll bring your order. Dao Opening Sect, Wang Wei's Soul Network, kid, don't you understand we are busy people? Yan Hai was the first to complain. He wouldn't call us here if it weren't important, Wu Hong said. So, already defending your man? So what if I am? All those years of friendship mean nothing in front of your man, huh? I knew you were a snake, Yan Hai sneered. How about we let Wang Wei talk? Qiyuan said after the others pretended to admire Wang Wei's technique in order not to intervene. Wu Hong and Yan Hai looked at each other, sneered at each other, before suddenly laughing. You know, she's right. You better not waste our time, Wu Hong said, making Wang Wei speechless. He did not say much, but showed them the scroll. Do you understand the implication of this? Qiyuan said as soon as he finished reading. I wouldn't be showing it to you if I didn't, Wang Wei replied. We must take full advantage of this early access, Li Ming said. How much merit do we have in reserve? Wang Cheng asked. Let me check, Qiyuan said as he connected to his ancestor token and checked the sex resources. We have enough to cultivate 3 peak paragons and 15 new paragons. That's a significant improvement, especially if you add the improvement from the taboo, Wang Cheng nodded. We need to enter war mode to prepare for the catastrophe, and that should also raise our strength, Yan Hai added. What about our allies? Maybe we can allow them to benefit from this early access, Li Ming suggested. But would that provoke Heavenly Dao? Yan Hai asked. Since it didn't prevent Wang Wei from sharing, then there should be no problem. Of course, to be safe, it's probably best to hide the scroll from the public for as long as possible, Qiyuan commented. Fair. On another thought, do you think it would be best to save to buy something on the primal tier? She continued. You saw the exorbitant prices? Qiyuan smiled wryly. It's best to wait for the catastrophe, as there will be plenty of opportunity to acquire more merit. It's really a scam, Yan Hai complained, and the other agreed. Why are you so quiet? Wang Wei asked his future wife, and she sighed. I used most of my merit reserves to train people before the taboo, she revealed. So, you're broke, he said, and she glared at him. And I'm guessing you're thinking of some unlawful way to get merit, Wang Wei smiled. Unlike you, I was not born with a golden spoon in my mouth, so I have to sometimes be creative when gathering resources, she replied without a hint of shame. All right, as your husband, I cannot allow you to do things that could ruin your reputation. You have a way? Wu Hong asked. You need to start thinking like a businessman in this type of situation. And business is all about supply and demand. What is it that you have that only you can provide and is extremely valuable? It's also recent and relevant to the upcoming catastrophe. You're talking about news about the gate, Wu Hong said with shining eyes. That's right. You can sell the news and only take merit. I suggest you don't set an exact price and charge based on the faction. That's not a bad idea, Wu Hong smiled. Excuse us, but what gate are you talking about? Qi Yuan asked. It's something, don't tell him for free. Even if he's an ally, just sell it at a discount, Wang Wei said, making everyone speechless. Boy, have you already forgotten your origin? Yan Hai asked with gritted teeth. Ancestor, you can't blame me for this. Look at my wife. She's living in abject poverty. She hasn't changed her hair, bought new perfume, rouge, or a new hanfu in countless yuan epochs. As her husband, it's my job to advocate for her business and ensure she has the prettiest clothes and best makeup. Everyone looked at him, unable to process the words coming out of his mouth. Then, Wang Cheng started laughing maniacally. I never thought you were such an interesting person. Eternity can be so dull, but I doubt that will be the case with your presence. I agree, Qi Yuan smiled. Don't encourage him, Yan Hai said, and Li Ming just gently nodded. Wu Hong rolled her eyes before telling them about the gate. Wang Wei complained under his breath that she would make a terrible businessman without the mentality of profit above everything. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 15:01 The Sacred Chief's Tribal's Sacred Mountain. A dozen demons surrounded a few enchained people with their mouths sealed. Sacred blue flames floated around this gathering, with one golden flame standing above an elevated podium and two people sitting on chairs. They observed the boisterous discussions. It was not my fault, yelled a middle-aged man with fangs wrapped in chains. He was the only one allowed to speak among the captives. I couldn't resist the call of the mother. What about the other people who resisted Heavenly Dao's summon? Why can they resist, and you couldn't? A demon with red eyes sneered. I don't know. These primarchs have always been unreliable. We are not the temple, so I never liked that they were among us. That's not fair. Many of our fellow brothers choose that path since it's better than the immortal and Dao path. So what? We now have proof that if our sacred mountain ever has animosity toward Heavenly Dao, these people will not hesitate to betray us. Like I said, I couldn't control myself, the prisoner argued. That's even worse, as that means you're unreliable. The prisoner gritted his teeth before saying, enough. The room immediately became quiet as everyone focused on the two sacred chiefs on their throne. What do you think? Sacred Chief Heavenly Ape asked. He was a man with dangerous eyes, white hair, two large ears, for sharp teeth, and dressed loosely with only pants and a flowing robe that was not properly wrapped, showing his upper body full of tribal markings. To be exact, he had 43 scars/marks. Heavenly Ape's story was interesting. He was from a powerful demon clan called the Saint Battle Ape. The Primarch Origin Temple annihilated the branch of his clan, so Heavenly Ape pretended to be an ordinary animal and hid in the mortal world. During that time, he was turned into a gladiator, forced to fight and kill other humans and animals. Since that period of his life, Heavenly Ape had the habit of scaring or tattooing a mark on his body to represent worthy foes he had killed. And in his long journey of cultivation, including the defeat of the innate demon gods, the Golden Era, the two Origin Wars, and the ultimate taboo, only 43 individuals were worthy of being scarred on his body. I don't know, replied Sacred Chief Myriad Star Rabbit. She was a beautiful woman dressed in all white with star patterns on her cuffs, and luscious pink hair. Her rise to one of the two primals of the demon race is even more legendary than her companions because she was once a regular rabbit demonic beast. She had no special bloodline, but she slowly crawled to the pinnacle of the demon race, even creating the Myriad Star Rabbit clan. If we kill them, whether we like it or not, our strength will decrease. However, the recent event has revealed them to be unstable variables. The catastrophe is coming, and it seems Heavenly Dao has its hand on it. So, do we preserve our strength or remove this uncontrollable variable? Sacred Chief Star Rabbit said. I ask you because I'm conflicted on the same issue, Heavenly Ape said. Then, let's ask someone who can help us see another side, Star Rabbit said before looking at someone who was remaining quiet on the side. Fan Sui, what do you think? All eyes were on the Star Sage, but she remained calm and composed as she gathered her thoughts before speaking. Chiefs, this may be an opportunity. Oh. Their eyes lit up. Their sacred mountain has survived numerous trials and tribulations due to the sage's wisdom. In fact, the two wanted her to participate in the ultimate taboo with them, but Fan Sui felt something was wrong and insisted on staying back to look out for the mountain. The entire world saw the betrayal of the Primarchs. So, we can ruin their reputation and brand them as traitors. We may need to kill our own, but the temple has the largest group of Primarchs. If the pressure of being traitors is applied at a sufficient level, they will have no choice but to eliminate their members. If they refuse, we can start gathering support from other overlords to pressure them. The catastrophe is approaching, and no one wants such an unstable variable as them in their backdoor. After all, if Heavenly Tao can be corrupted once, it can happen a second time. Heavenly Ape's eyes immediately squinted. Your plan is intriguing, but there are also hidden problems. What if they bear the pressure and refuse to eliminate their Primarchs? We will have weakened our strength for no reason. Even if they resist, the pressure alone is enough to start internal fighting among them. Don't forget the temple's delicate situation between emperors and Primarchs, Star Sage Fan Sui replied calmly. True, Star Rabbit nodded. Ancient Heaven Primarchs created the Primarch Origin Temple. But over the years, the Emperor path has become mainstream, and the two current temple lords are paragons. Despite the Emperor path being the controllers of the temple, the Primarchs have plenty of power, which is why the temple is still named after them. A plan that kills many birds with one stone, should expect nothing less from you. Heavenly Ape smiled, showing his 4 canine fangs. He glanced at Star Rabbit. Do you have anything to add? No, I'm fine with this plan. In that case, let's proceed, Heavenly Ape said. No, Sacred Chief, the prisoner yelled, but someone immediately sealed his mouth. We still have to return to our peak, so we'll leave the execution plan to you, Fan Sui, Star Rabbit said. I know you also need to heal, but such an important task can only be overseen by you. I understand. All right. Everybody except the sage and this young man can leave, Heavenly Ape ordered, and the other tribal chiefs slowly left. This tribunal judgment session can only be attended by paragons and chiefs, and most of these people had just revived and needed to return to their peak as well. So, this is the talent you spoke of, Heavenly Ape said as he glanced at Aoshin. He is so young, too young. How lucky this generation was to have access to the mortalhood trial. Aoshin bowed to them. It appears he wants to walk the path of chaos through bloodline, Heavenly Ape analyzed. In that case, it may be best if he studies under you. Years ago, I failed that path, but maybe he can succeed, Star Rabbit smiled. As a young rabbit, she knew only an excellent bloodline would help her rise to the top. So, she developed a method of absorbing bloodlines after an epiphany while looking at the stars. However, at some point, she became greedy and wanted them all, almost killing her in the process. After so many years, her ambitions have long changed, but through Aoshin, she hopes to make up for past regrets. Where are the others? Heavenly Ape asked. Fan Sui sighed after hearing this question. Yidafu has been stricken with grief, and for some reason, he believes there is a way to revive his wife with her full potential through samsara. Are you saying he wanted to attack the 6 paths of samsara? Doesn't he know the Yama kings don't play around? I tried telling him, but he refuses to listen. I had to lock him up, Fan Sui said. Our monkey race is innately brash and combative, but we can still be reasoned with, Heavenly Ape frowned. Did you tell him he can revive her after he becomes a peak paragon? I have, but he seemed to have developed an obsession with attacking the 6 paths of samsara, Fan Sui sighed. I'll try to get to him once I'm at my peak, Heavenly Ape said. What about the last one? You said her potential wasn't on par with the others, but she was still valuable, Star Rabbit asked. Her name is Jingku Hua, and she's in retreat, Fan Sui explained. She realized she was not ready and chose to delay her immeasurable tribulations. She secluded herself to prepare as soon as the lock was broken. That's a wise move, Star Rabbit praised. Everyone knows how terrifying the immeasurable tribulation is, especially since it does not care about a person's talent. On the contrary, the more talented a cultivator is, the more careful they must be. Give her as much support as she needs, Star Rabbit said. I will. Fan Sui and Ao Shen soon left, leaving the two sacred chiefs alone. Are you ready? Heavenly Ape asked. Of course, Star Rabbit smiled. The upcoming catastrophe was the perfect opportunity to accomplish their dream of eradicating the Premarch Origin Temple. Whether it's for personal reasons, to end this eternal battle that has been going on for too long, or for the destiny of the innate demon gods, this fight must end, and the demon race must be victorious. These two have been battling and waiting for a long time, and finally, they knew the opportunity to achieve their dreams was coming. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1502 Soul Network Discussion. This is crucial information, Chiyuan muttered while crossing his arms and caressing his chin. Are you interested in a deal? What deal? We'll pay you to delay selling the news, Chiyuan said. We can't use merit, but we can use plenty of rare resources for the exchange. Delay? How long are we talking about? Wu Hong asked with a frown. How about 10,000 yuan epochs? That's at least 100,000 yuan epoch inside a time formation. Can you pay enough for me to delay for so long? She asked. Time was of the essence, and 10,000 true yuan epochs were enough to do many things with the merit Shell have acquired from selling other factions. We'll give you 10 million peak third-rank Dao sources, 20 primal soul pills, 10 innate source pills, and 2 boundary-breaking pills, Chiyuan said. Wu Hong immediately made a rough calculation. The Dao sources were enough to set up a formation that granted a 25% cultivation boost for 5 paragons. One innate source pill granted another 75% boost and had a slow effect on eliminating cultivation bottlenecks. The boundary pills could forcefully remove bottlenecks for people whose talents had reached their ends. 10,000 is too long. I can only do 1,000. Now I know you're not being sincere, Chiyuan said. At least 9,000. I cannot go higher than 1,500. All right, let me stop you too, Wang Wei said. Are you going to take her side? Chiyuan complained. No, I'm trying to save you money. Oh. Do you want to analyze the gate ahead of time and have more time than the others to prepare? Wang Wei asked. That's right, Chiyuan nodded. Then, you're wasting your time. Maitreya could not detect the gate, and she only succeeded because of the Hong protective system. This means whoever designed the gate made sure that no information was leaked by even people of Maitreya's level. And if your idea is to stop the gate or delay it for an extended period, then I'm afraid it's useless. As you can deduce from the scroll, Heavenly Dao is counting on the catastrophe to fulfill its grand ambition, Wang Wei reminded. I didn't know about Maitreya, Chiyuan muttered. However, you are underestimating us a little. Brother Chiyuan can find the origin of all things, Yen Hai said. With a little help, we can find the origin of the gate. And even if we fail, we can find some clues. It seems I've butted in when I didn't need to, Wang Wei said. Not at all, Chiyuan smiled before looking at Wu Hong. How about we agree on 5,000 yuan epoch? That's fine by me, she agreed since that number was her bottom line. I'll have someone send them to you immediately, Chiyuan said, and Wu Hong was fine with that since she trusted them. So, is that it? I need to return to my retreat, Wang Wei asked. We still need to discuss which allies we can invite to use the scroll and how much to reveal, Li Ming said. I've become close with the barbarian race, so you can invite them. There is also Emperor Kong and the Enlightened Emperor Academy. If nothing unexpected happens, he should be the son of an era for the catastrophe. Maybe we can start building relationships with them, Wang Wei suggested. Not you? Li Ming asked. I refused, Wang Wei replied before telling them about his conversation with Heavenly Tao. Wu Hong immediately sneered, and Qian shook his head. He would also not accept that burden. That may be a wise choice, Qian uttered. I understand your choice, but being the chosen one would have given us a great advantage, Wang Chang sighed. It would also put us at the center of the catastrophe, Li Ming added. It's the kid's choice, and since he refuses, let's respect his decision, Yan Hai added. That's right, Qian said. Thank you, Wang Wei nodded. And one more thing, the Sword Path League came for a visit before the Mortalhood trial and wanted me to convince you to exchange the destiny of the ultimate sword path with them. Are they crazy or do they think I'm stupid? Yan Hai immediately sneered. Wait, you never do anything without benefit. What did they promise you? They said they could help me find my parents, Wang Wei said truthfully, immediately making the atmosphere slightly depressing. Yan Hai took a light breath. What do they want to exchange with? They said they will reveal the secret of why they could use the word, path, in their name, like the Skill Path Association. According to them, if you can comprehend this secret, your chances of entering the next realm will increase by a minimum of 5% and a maximum of 20%. I call bullshit, Wang Chang immediately said. Maybe not. We've never discovered why they could use the word, path, without any consequences, Li Ming added. There is also the fact that Sword Dao has dominated all other weapon Dao. It's always been weird to me, Qian said. It's nothing weird. We are the best, so we dominate, Yan Hai said. Wang Chang was about to say something, but Li Ming stopped him since he knew these two tend to argue over everything. Anyway, I've passed the message, so it's up to you now to decide, Wang Wei said. Why don't you help me decide? Yan Hai said, looking straight at him. Tell me your opinion on which I should use. Wang Wei sighed. If you consider it on the surface level, their offer is worth the exchange. However, the ultimate sword path should be resurging across all source worlds with a well-developed sword Dao. You have the strength to defeat all the destined ones in these worlds and spread the ultimate sword path. However, in my opinion, the best approach is to have both. There is something in the scroll that can help negate contracts and oaths. You take it, use the League's opportunity, and break your words by taking the destiny back. Of course, if you choose this path, we must prepare for an all-out war with them. Cruel, but I like it, Yan Hai grinned. Brother Qian, what do you think? A reshuffle is coming, so the chances of a civil war are high. We don't fear a battle against the League, but must prepare for the Grand Sect Alliance's intervention. They will be occupied dealing with Kong and his academy, Wang Wei said. Oh. Wang Wei then explained the relationship between Lin Fan and Suya, and Kong's radical approach of attacking the Alliance's academy. Is he stupid? Even with destiny on his side, does he think he can compete against the Alliance? Wang Chang asked. Unless he's counting on us secretly helping him and even keeping the Alliance at bay, Li Ming said. So, he's got balls, using the subtle balance of the overlords to plan his rise, Wang Chang said with a grin. So, do we help him? Yan Hai asked. Depends on whether he's capable enough, Qian said. If he shows potential, I don't see why not. Anyway, hell be the Alliance's problem as long as he can use his destiny to grow. Then, we can fight the League without any worries. Aren't we getting ahead of ourselves? Whatever enemy we'll be facing in the catastrophe will probably require everyone working together, Wang Chang added. No, we should be prepared, Qian said. If we are facing an invasion, the first waves of attacks will be a test to determine our level of strength. If the enemy is competent, the next wave will be infiltration and destabilization. The 13 of us have maintained a balance for a long time, but that also means we have amassed a great deal of animosity. With a little effort, it's easy to get us to fight each other. He's right. Whether it's the demon race and the innate demon gods, Hunger Continent and the Skill Path Association, us and the Grand Sect Alliance, Qin and Taoism, it's relatively easy to get us to fight each other, Wang Wei added. Not to mention you've offended the Divine Faith Haven and Qin, Wu Hong added, making everyone look at Wang Wei. It was all necessary, Wang Wei said. I can't wait to hear your explanation, Yan Hai said. Hong-er is the person with the highest probability of entering the next realm, but her origin seal continent has the weakest foundation. Her situation makes her the perfect target for destiny to choose to be tested in the catastrophe. I need to influence its choice and switch it to the Divine Faith Haven. I can respect wanting to protect your woman, but what about the Qin court? Wang Cheng asked. I'm doing it to stop Yingzheng's transcendent path, Wang Wei said before telling them about his deduction about Yingzheng's path. He even mentioned the situation with Honghua. You did the right thing, Qiuan said seriously. Most people think Dugu Beidian is ambitious, but Yingzheng is as bad as he is. When we were fighting for the overlord positions, he once showed his fangs toward Buddhism and Taoism, wishing to incorporate them as the Qin court's national religion and use their destiny for himself. The rapid rise of these two religions stopped his ambitions, and almost ruined his court, but I don't believe he ever stopped planning their assimilation. Can I ask you a question? Li Ming said. Me? All right, Wang Wei said. Is Yingzheng also from the prehistoric world like you? Do you have any relationship with him? His words immediately made the meeting tense. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1503 The Guardian, How did you come up with the assumption we are related? Wang Wei asked. He knew the ancestors should know about his connection to the prehistoric world. After all, they were the ones who helped him hide it from people of higher cultivation. When we met you in the lower dimension, we observed your growth, Li Ming explained. And there were signs, for example, the name Yingzheng. Few people know this name, as most people addressed him by his title or by his sovereign name, Qin Shi Huang. The world only knows the name Yingzheng because the world he first reincarnated in was revealed, and after that, he did not bother hiding it. However, it was kept hidden even after the information reached the lower dimension. However, you knew his name before you had access to the sect's hidden library. And there is the way you were always on guard against him. No, it can even be said you had hidden animosity toward him, but the two of you have never met before. I see, Wang Wei nodded. His behavior toward Yingzheng has always been odd, and it seems to have revealed a lot of information. If something you're not comfortable sharing, it's all right, Qiuan said. It's fine, Wang Wei waved his hand. I don't know him personally. He's more of a historical figure who existed more than 2,000 years before my first life. 2,000 years is a short. Wait, you were a mortal in your first life? Li Ming asked. That's right. Why are you surprised? We always assumed your first life was a powerful cultivator, and the reason for your excellence was because you were basically rebuilding, Qiuan added, and the others nodded in agreement. Weren't you the myriad devourer? How come you're saying you were immortal? Something is not adding up, Wang Cheng suddenly asked. I was caught in an accident, probably a world collision. My soul entered primordial chaos, and I instinctively started swallowing up these purple orbs, probably world sources. That's how I became the myriad devourer. A mortal soul entering primordial chaos? Even if the world source could sustain you, the sight of seeing primordial chaos for the first time would have overwhelmed your mortal mind, Wang Cheng commented. If you add the fear of death you were experiencing, the loneliness of traveling the infinite primordial chaos, no wonder you were born with paragon-tier willpower. How did you retain your memories? The years spent as the myriad devourer should have taken over your mortal memories? Qiuan asked. I don't know myself, but I guess I was desperate. I think I may have accidentally created a technique to preserve my memories, and all the worlds I devoured were to fuel this technique, Wang Wei shrugged. You haven't retrieved your memory of the time? Yan Haya asked. Where would I have the time to do that? It hasn't been a Yuan epoch since I became a paragon, Wang Wei sighed. True. Let's get back to the topic, Li Ming said. If you never met Ingzheng, what's with the animosity? Although there was no cultivation in my first life, the concept of reincarnating into another world and cultivating was prevalent in the form of literature and other forms of entertainment. There is even a prevalent genre with millions of stories about people from our world reincarnating into cultivation worlds, Wang Wei expressed. That doesn't appear to occur randomly, Qiuan observed. Is the information in these stories useful? They are. I've used many of them in this world. That would explain your unique ways of thinking, Qiuan said. Someone definitely plans for the world to be like that, Li Ming added. It's almost like they were preparing your people for the possibility. That's probably. Wang Wei stopped himself and reinforced his soul network. If there is someone behind it, it's probably Hong Jun. Why does that name sound familiar? Qiuan said as he caressed his temple. Now that you mention it, I feel like I've heard it somewhere before, Yan Hao added. Me too, Wang Chang said, and Li Ming nodded. He's the prehistoric world's guardian. Everyone's gaze shifted to Wu Hong. Remember? During the war, we tried to contact and even forcefully enter the prehistoric world, and he showed up, introducing himself as Hong Jun, the world's guardian, Wu Hong continued. He conversed with us for a few minutes before waving his hand and teleporting us away. I remember now, but the entire encounter is blurry in my mind, Yan Hai said. Me too, the others nodded. Then, they looked at each other with a somber atmosphere. Han Jun not only modified their memories but also influenced them not to think of the entire encounter for billions of yuan epochs. How do you remember? Yan Hai suddenly asked. I just do, Wu Hong said calmly, and no one questioned her, especially after what happened recently with Maitreya. However, only Wu Hong knows that her perfection foundation has allowed her to remember numerous encounters with transcendent entities. Why don't you continue? Li Ming motioned toward Wang Wei. Oh, right. Where was I? Information. Yes, the information from our world is so valuable that I instinctively was wary of Ingzheng's presence. However, now that I think about it, he lived more than 2,000 years ago, so he never had access to that period's literature and other media. Your words have increased the validity of the training's theory, Qiuan said. Ingzheng was Hongjun's first test. After he saw success or failure considering his first life, he started training the population through literature and entertainment. Then, he picked the best to reincarnate. The world collision was most likely artificially created to make the reincarnations appear random. And you were probably an accident in the process. However, one thing I've learned in my long life is that there are no accidents. Qiuan looked at Wang Wei in the eyes but he waved his hand. Let's not get into this. Although he did not mind sharing about his life, some things were left for him and maybe his wife. So, he would not mention things about his fate seed status. If you wish, Qiuan shrugged. Everyone has secrets. As close as he was with his brother and sister, there were things he also kept from them for one reason or another. Can you tell us more about the prehistoric world? Li Ming asked. Based on your words, many of the things you've done were inspired by your experience there. You also mentioned there was no cultivation. Is the cultivation separate from the mortal world? You want to know about my life on, Wang Wei didn't finish saying, Earth, before a terrifying conscience descended in their meetings, warning everybody present. It seems we've talked too much, Qiuan said with a wry smile. So, even we're not worthy of peeping into the secrets of the prehistoric world? Yan Hai said in an aggravated tone. Didn't we already know we are just bigger ants? Wang Cheng shrugged. There will be a day, Li Ming said quietly. Wu Hong was the one with the least reaction. The memory from the other self has granted her plenty of memories and knowledge about Earth and the prehistoric world, so she didn't care, except for maybe the sudden and rude interruption. Well, this is my cue to leave, Wang Wei said. This conversation had gone longer than he anticipated. Ancestor, you're going to be free, right? I need a favor. What is it? Yan Hai asked begrudgingly. My retreat should take between 60,000 to 90,000 yuan epochs. I need you to train one member of the Ma clan to the peak of the Paragon realm? How talented are they? Yan Hai asked. Depending on these people's talents, this was more than doable. That's the issue, they have terrible talent. However, one of their ancestor was excellent, so if you could revive that part of their blood, it's possible. And I don't just want a peak Empyrean, but someone with potential to enter the Paragon realm. Of course you do, Yan Hai snorted. Bloodline purification and modification is slowly and research draining, in other words, a pain in my ass. So? Wang Wei asked. I'll do it, but why are you annoying me instead of your wife? She asked while looking at Wu Hong. He already dumped other responsibilities on me, Wu Hong immediately said. So, this is a pattern? Yan Hai stared at Wang Wei. I just want to save time, Wang Wei explained. The Ma clan is the key to the largest soul energy reserves in the entire world. Once it gets it and takes what I need, there will still be enough for the sect to use and gain advantage in the upcoming catastrophe. The largest, you said? Wang Chang asked, not hiding his skepticism. Imagine secretly collecting soul power from mortals and cultivators since before the tribulation era. The others immediately took a deep breath after hearing his words. This world is so old, and mortals have always been as numerous as grass. To be able to gather from such a large pool of people for such an extended period, no wonder he boldly claimed it was the largest. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1504 Spiritual Perfection. Where did you get such a thing? Yan Hai asked. It's complicated, and I may need your help later if the buyer refuses to pay. However, we first have to fulfill our side of the agreement, which is to train a paragon from the Ma clan, Wang Wei replied. I understand, but this task would have been best left to Brother Li and Wang Cheng, Yan Hai sighed. Li Ming led the sect's training, including designing the trials, the sect's motto or spirit regarding training methods, the training manual for any elders in charge of disciples' cultivation, and so on. Meanwhile, Wang Cheng was the one knowledgeable about the body and bloodline. We can leave a projection to help you, Li Ming said. You can take this opportunity to start spreading the human fiend god bloodline, Wang Cheng added. Now I'm doing everybody's work. Yan Hai yelled, and Qiyuan just patted her on the shoulder. Is there anything else? Yan Hai asked, staring at Wang Wei. That's it. Well, no, forget it. It's not that important, Wang Wei said. Yan Hai snorted and talked with Wu Hong for a few seconds before leaving. The others said their goodbye, leaving the couple alone. Come see me when you leave your seclusion, Wu Hong said before kissing him on the cheek and disappearing. Wang Wei caressed his cheek for a few seconds before leaving the soul space with a grin on his face. Back at his manor, it took him a few seconds to remove that idiotic grin from his face and focus on his retreat. The first thing he did was activate all the arrays in his fate-transcending mountain, entering the best cultivation state. The time acceleration array on his mountain reached the peak of 10 times acceleration, and Wang Wei had an entire dimension of third-rank Dao sources to speed up his cultivation. And that's not mentioning the other arrays that helped cultivate the soul, reduced bottlenecks, boosted grand mist worlds, and all other matters of assistance. Once everything was ready, Wang Wei started his retreat, beginning with purifying his soul and existence, with the talisman he bought from Heavenly Dao. He methodically removed all the hidden dangers in his existence, through the talisman and assistance from his acupoint method, that allowed him to slowly influence his blueprint. Once his very essence was clean, Wang Wei focused on the next crucial part, recondensing his flesh. With the pill and the endless energy the sect reserved for him, the process was smooth. He recreated his body exactly like it was before consuming the purple blood. Although Wang Wei could have added some minor beneficial modifications from what he learned when he was using the blood, he did not want to risk it, so he chose a perfect replica from before. It's good to have flesh and blood, Wang Wei muttered as he clenched his fist, feeling the power coursing through his veins. He stood up and did a few physical exercises. His cultivation room had the necessary arrays to ensure he could use his strength without annihilating the room or the entire mountain. Wang Wei was satisfied after more than an hour of exercise, and he proceeded to his next task, cultivating his soul. After he was promoted to the Paragon realm, he removed the seal in his mind and accessed all his soul power during his time as the Myriad Devourer. His soul was on par with Paragon 8 Heaven, or 98%. Wang Wei had the resources ready for his soul to reach 99% as soon as possible. Unlike regular cultivators, he did not have to worry about his talent. His time as the Myriad Devoured ensured his talent for the soul was in the higher percentile, if not the extreme. This also means that bottlenecks only slowed him down instead of stopping him. After reaching 99%, Wang Wei took a pill that instantly increased his soul by 1%. He waited until now to take the pill since everyone can only take one in their lifetime. Wang Wei closed his eyes, feeling the changes in his soul. His first sensation was how much his control over his body and other aspects had improved. This change made sense to Wang Wei since his soul cultivation technique was created from studying others to focus on control, with the speed of growth being secondary. Wang Wei's soul technique was to lay down the foundation to use his force control skill as his ultimate skill to become a primal. Once he succeeds, he'll instantly have numerous ultimate skills. After all, the force control skill granted him ultimate control over his body, soul, Tao, and energy. If this skill reaches the level of a primal ultimate skill, he can use his flesh, soul, Tao, and Qi to make ultimate attacks. The second sensation he felt was the imbalance. His cultivation and body were still in the fifth heaven, which was drastically different from his soul, which had reached its peak. Typically, such an imbalance would require him to take time to adapt, but his next focus was raising his realm, so it did not matter. Wang Wei took the time to adapt to his soul before continuing his retreat. His focus was not immediately on raising his realm but elevating his golden body of merit. Heavenly Tao had long reinstated his second-level golden body after the lock, reversing the sacrifice he had made. Now, Wang Wei was elevating it to the third rank. Wang Wei watched as the physical manifestation of the golden body released intense lights as its aura drastically increased. Then, it reached a peak and stopped. It's indeed the peak of third rank and instead of fourth rank, Wang Wei thought. Although he knew this was the most likely result, he was still disappointed. He absorbed the golden body and felt the changes. Wang Wei was surprised. Besides all the advantages or boost to cultivation and protection, the third golden body granted him two useful abilities. The first one was one additional life. In other words, the golden body acted as a longevity resource at the third level. However, the one Wang Wei cared the most was the second, which was a protection ultimate skill. The skill is called Sage's Protection, and upon activation, a golden shield will appear around Wang Wei that can protect him from a primal paragon's ultimate skills for half an hour. The interesting part about this protection is even if his enemy has already found his time mark, Wang Wei will be immune from death in that 30 minutes. I should use this carefully, Wang Wei muttered. This protection has limits. The first use is free, but subsequent applications will require a great deal of merit to charge. The next step is to reach the peak of the Paragon realm, Wang Wei thought as he focused on his cultivation. He closed his eyes to access his grand mist world, linking his soul to all sentient beings to use their minds to help him comprehend the grand Tao source. Wang Wei used the array in the sect that allowed him to increase the size of his world beyond the limit, thus create more sentient beings to help him cultivate. He then activated his Bodhi tree, the borrowed Taoist pear tree, his 3 paths, 3 selves art, and his merit to boost his understanding. For the first time in his life, Wang Wei felt the grand Tao source was simple and even easy. He immediately lost track of time as the essence of fate became an open book to him. As expected, his cultivation increased like a rocket, stopping at 999%. Have I encountered a bottleneck? Wang Wei thought before taking a pill for the occasion. However, the pill did not help him reach perfection, but revealed the problem. Back in the divine body realm, Wang Wei had fused his goal or ambition into his soul and Tao. So, if he wanted to reach the peak of the Paragon realm, he needed some soul-searching and spiritual achievement to realign his pursuit in life with his cultivation. Luckily, I have the perfect thing for this occasion, Wang Wei thought before taking out the path refining stone. He had acquired this thing after raiding Blood Dragon's treasury. He put the stone on his forehead, which liquefied before fusing with him. Wang Wei's spirit immediately experienced an out-of-body experience. Wang Wei found himself in another world. He did not know whether his spirit had traveled there, whether it was another chaos world, or in the past or future, or whether this was a well-crafted illusion created by the stone. The truth did not matter more than the actual lesson the stone wanted him to learn. Wang Wei observed the world with his divine sense, even being a little brazen about the entire ordeal. He first frowned, followed by showing an unpleasant expression. How is that coward considered someone who pursues freedom? He was immediately annoyed that the main character of this trip was considered the same kind of person as he was. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1505 Spiritual Practice 2. The world Wang Wei found himself was highly bureaucratic and hierarchical. His current location was the lower realm where mortal stage cultivators lived. After spreading his divine sense, he saw numerous cities and tribes, but no ruling dynasty or sect. The first thing that caught his attention was the control of colors. According to this world system, mortals were only allowed to wear gray colors. Their clothes can be rough linen or precious silk, but they can only be gray. Tier 1 to 3 cultivators can wear red, with a pin on their chest to indicate their tier. Once cultivators reach Tier 4, they can wear orange and move to higher cities with better spiritual energy or resources. At Tier 7, a cultivator can wear light yellow and move on to designated areas. The process of becoming a great emperor is like every other world, using the heaven will battle. There are a total of 3,800 areas in every generation, and great emperors can wear golden clothes. However, they also must ascend to the second layer. Wang Wei ascended to the second layer and calmly observed. The second layer had a bit more freedom. Cultivators could create sects and dynasties, but the color hierarchy remained, with Empyreans allowed to wear blue. The second realm was more chaotic, with factions fighting and competing with each other, but the entire thing was absurd to Wang Wei, especially after seeing the rebellion. There is a group of cultivators trying to revolt against the system by causing more chaos and killing people everywhere. However, Wang Wei immediately did not take them seriously after everyone wore black clothes. A brief scan of their past revealed the reason. Their resistance started by breaking the color code, but this resistance soon realized that they would be wiped out if they did not wear the designated clothes. They can be the resistance and have few limitations in the system as long as they accept their roles by wearing black. Then, after everybody with a true will of defiance was eliminated, the current residence became the shell of its original idea, co-opted by the very system they were trying to overthrow. Wang Wei shook his head before moving to the third layer. This place was full of emperors and empyreans, but only 10 paragons, all dressed in purple. The royal clan comprised half these paragons, and the other 5 created the noble clans. However, all the paragons did not exceed the 4th heaven, except for the sovereign, who was a peak paragon. Wang Wei secretly entered a room where he saw the sovereign, an elderly man with pointy eyes and a lavish purple robe, kneeling before a floating white orb. "I need more souls," said a deep voice from the orb. "Your exalted eminence, it shall be done," said Sovereign Prime Color. The orb trembled slightly and Wang Wei felt a sight on himself. However, it only paused for a while before the orb disappeared. Prime Color slowly stood up and sent an order. A war of enormous proportions is about to sweep the third and second layers. After receiving confirmation, Prime Color had a creepy smile on his face. The Ling clan had sent him a few maids, and he was about to enjoy himself by indulging in some of his fantasies. Wang Wei wanted nothing but to slap this perverted old man in his face, but resisted the urge. "Aren't you ashamed? Who is there?" Prime Color yelled, releasing his aura. However, as soon as he laid eyes on Wang Wei, he felt a dread he had never felt in too long, and it almost shattered his mind. "Who are you?" "Answer my question," Wang Wei said. "Aren't you ashamed? Acting as less than a dog before others while proclaiming yourself a ruler?" "Why should I be ashamed? I stand above trillions of lives and only need to bow to one," Prime Color responded after reining in his emotions. "Hopefully, this powerful cultivator will only be here to talk, or the exalted eminence will come to save him." "One? Do you think your so-called exalted eminence doesn't have peers on par, if not more powerful, than him? What about higher entities like Grand Tao?" Wang Wei sneered. "The outside world has nothing to do with me," Prime Color replied. "All I care about is in here, am free to do as I want, and I only need to provide souls to the exalted eminence." Wang Wei stared at him. "It irks me beyond the reach of the stars to hear the word free from your mouth. What should I do?" The emotionally intelligent choice would be to accept that everybody has their ways of pursuing freedom, but my freedom is to be able to control and impose my will on others. Prime Color took a step backward. "I can't do anything to you since I'm here due to the refining path stone. However, if this place is real and I know where it is, I promise I'll find you and slap you into oblivion," Wang Wei said before leaving. The stone reacted to his decision, and his surroundings changed. He found himself in a world that instinctively gave him a peaceful atmosphere, and his surroundings further proved that. He saw a peaceful world where mortals and cultivators lived in perfect harmony. Lower-level cultivators used their powers to summon the rain to help farmers, cast healing spells to cure diseases and injuries, teach knowledge, maintain portals for travel, and so on. More powerful cultivators control floods, earthquakes, and all other types of natural catastrophes. High-tier cultivators do not fight for power and resources but are more like hermits who contemplate the nature of reality. They rarely show up in the world except to maybe publish their understanding or warn of great catastrophes beyond the norms. Wang Wei teleported to one of those hermits. He looked at the middle-aged man dressed in ordinary clothes. "You know this is escapism, not true freedom, right?" The man slowly opened his eyes and looked up and down at Wang Wei. "And you know your path is tyranny, not true freedom." "At least I know I'll be free, whether by achieving my goal or dying," Wang Wei countered. "But you live in this illusion world that you crafted, running away from all the problems in the real world. Your method is not that different from the previous coward I just met. What about other people? When you achieve your freedom, what about the people still suffering?" the hermit asked. "I can save them if I want. I've only met you today, but I can tell you're a selfish person." "I doubt you would do such a thing," the hermit said calmly. "I want the power and choice to be able to save these people. You don't know me. I might save them, or I might ignore them. What matters is having the choice," Wang Wei replied. "So, you admit it? That it's all about power for you? Do you think power doesn't matter?" Wang Wei asked with a sneer. "Without power, can you build this perfect haven? Without power, can you defend it against others? Interestingly enough, power is the fundamental flaw of your ideal. If one day, you meet an unstoppable force that wishes to end this beautiful dream of yours, can you stop it? The world is full of what-ifs. What if something suddenly goes wrong with your cultivation tomorrow? What if you suddenly encounter two powerhouses fighting and you're caught in the middle? The world is full of what-ifs, of endless possibilities. I do not let these worries dictate how I live my life," the hermit answered calmly. "Interesting way of living, but indulge me a little. What would you do if a catastrophe suddenly destroyed this perfect little world of yours?" Wang Wei asked. "I'll move on and start over again. Life must move on, right? Even if you had to repeat the process over and over?" "Yes." "The recreated worlds, would they be an exact copy?" Wang Wei asked. "I did not create this place as remembrance for the people I once loved. I allow the world to evolve naturally, so even if I restarted, the people would be the same," the hermit said. "No need to be so defensive," Wang Wei smiled. "But there is an argument to be made about free will. You call my way tyrannical, but the same can be said about yours. These people have no free will, at least, not completely. Their happiness and way of life are predicated on the rules you established for this world. So, isn't it hypocritical to call me a tyrant while you do the same? The hermit looked at him calmly. I've created a world with certain rules and let people live within it, without interference. Do you really believe it's the same as someone who desires to impose their will on others? I do. The people never had the choice to determine the fundamental rules. Maybe they did not want to live in a peaceful world. Maybe they wanted to indulge their violent desires. You never gave them the choice. The hermit shook his head. Your response says more about how you see the world. Have you thought that your definition of freedom is too extreme? Extreme how? There are many things we cannot or did not have the choice to make. We did not decide to be born, who our parents are, and how the world, speaking of the fundamental laws, and society operate. We just have to live with it. But we can decide. Isn't that the purpose of cultivation? Wang rebutted. It gives us the choice. But what if you didn't have the talent for cultivation? Or worse, born in a mortal world with no spiritual energy? Could you practice your form of freedom? Probably not, Wang admitted. Then, you must admit your freedom is extreme since it cannot be practiced without specific environments and conditions, the hermit said. I never thought of that, Wang said as he pondered. His approach was impossible on Earth unless he had managed to found the cultivation world. I admit your point, but you must also admit that my path of freedom is the best and absolute. Best is subjective, but yes, it is an absolute path, the hermit admitted. The ability to bend reality to its whim, create and do things, and not be limited by the imagination, is the ultimate freedom. However, your way of trying to achieve that leaves something to be desired. I won't argue with that, Wang nodded. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1506 Spiritual Practice 3. The conversation with the hermit was eye-opening, revealing new aspects about himself. However, Wang could feel his spiritual practice was not perfect yet, and he was not ready to reach the peak. The world around him changed, leading Wang somewhere else. He immediately noticed this world had little to no spiritual energy, meaning this was a mortal world. Wang quickly scanned the world and understood its gist. This small continent was ruled by two ethnicities, the Yi people of the north and the Yi people of the south. These two ethnicities have different customs, cultures, and ways of life, and for many small and inconsequential reasons, they hate each other with a passion. About 300 years ago, the Yi people gave birth to a ruthless but military genius of an emperor. The mad emperor started a conquest of the continent by killing all the Yi people. In 50 years, he killed more than 70% of the Yi people. Luckily, the Yi were resilient and survived. Meanwhile, the mad emperor succumbed to his age. Then, as soon as the madman died, the world's fate seemed to have switched to the Yi people. In just 20 years, they slowly reversed all of the mad emperor's achievements, and the Yi people not only reversed their plight of being genocide, but they also conquered the world. So, what did the Yi people do after ruling over this world? If it were up to their leader, Emperor Yi Ling, peace between the two people would have been established, healing all their past and history. Unfortunately, Emperor Yi Ling was betrayed by his brother, who secretly assassinated him, took the throne, and blamed the Yi people. Emperor Ed was nothing like his brother, except for maybe their brilliant political mind. Ed used the death of his brother to enact the vilest revenge on the Yi people. He killed as many of them as possible before enslaving the rest. He then created a caste system, ensuring the Yi people were slaves for life. 300 years later, after countless failed revolutions, the Yi people are still in chains. Wang looked at the place he was teleported to. A group of Yi people had just finished their work on the mines, the fields, or other construction works. Everyone was tired and thin, wearing coarse clothes that smelled or were probably itchy. However, Wang Wei saw something in their eyes: hope. These people were not spiritually defeated. He was intrigued and watched. Soon, more than 100 people gathered and started a fire. People brought makeshift musical instruments, and everyone brought food they had starved themselves to preserve. Some even brought the alcohol they had secretly brewed. The Yi people shared their food with their neighbors and fellow companions before starting to sing and dance. The music was inspiring as it told tales of their ancestry and the time when they did not live in bondage. It told of a better future that awaited not them, but their descendants. The music gave them hope and filled them spiritually. For that single night, every Yi person reconnected to their culture and dreamt of a better tomorrow. Would I be able to accept a single day of freedom? Wang Wei asked himself as he watched these people lose themselves in their music and dance. He did not take this question lightly and pondered deeply. Maybe if I die the next day, Wang Wei answered himself. During world history, he once read about an American politician who said, "Give me liberty or give me death." Wang Wei agreed with that statement. The Yi people's Festival of Hope ended, and the next day, they returned to their regular schedule. They won't have such an opportunity again until next year, and many of these people knew they would not survive to see the next festival. Wang Wei watched as 3 of the Yi people slowly left this area and he followed them. As expected, they were part of the revolutionaries. After 300 years, they have not stopped fighting for their people's liberation. In fact, the Hope Festival existed because of a negotiation between the revolution and the Yi people about 90 years ago. The little festival might seem insignificant, but it came at the right time. The Yi people had lost hope, and the rate of suicide had increased drastically. However, the festival allowed them to reconnect with their culture, showing them they were more than slaves. It allowed them to look into the future. Their lives might be bleak, but many hold on just to live until the day of the festival. As Wang Wei watched these revolutionaries plan their next attack, he realized how valuable freedom was. His greatest obstacle to his dream was the Grand Tao, which was so far removed from the current plight of the Yi people. However, he was lucky to be born with many life advantages, lucky to be born in a world whose freedom was not completely restricted, lucky that Grand Tao had no sentience and was not acting like a tyrant. I am indeed appreciative of my circumstances, but this is feeling like propaganda, Wang Wei thought. His suspicious mind made him believe Grand Tao was manipulating this experience to increase Wang Wei's favor toward him, even if it was by a small amount. He had no proof, and he might be wrong, but that's how he felt. Wang Wei shook his head to remove these thoughts before focusing on the presence. He found one of the revolution leaders who appealed to him and entered the latter's dream. They only talked and played chess in the dream, but when the leader woke up, he suddenly realized he was a strategy genius. "So, will you be the next Emperor Yi Ling, or another Yi? Wang Wei thought before the world around him changed. He was still in a mortal world, but things were peaceful and quiet even. For this experience, Wang Wei found himself following the life of a young scholar about 22. The scholar had just passed the imperial exam and returned home to marry his childhood sweetheart, rejecting all the offers from the nobles in the capital in the process. The scholar had a smile on his face that Wang Wei would never forget, and that's because it followed him all his life. After the marriage, the scholar was assigned to his small village despite how well he did in the exam. The nobles did not appreciate his rejection, so they stuck him in a menial position in the countryside. However, the scholar did not mind and accepted the imperial order with a smile. 40 years and 3 children later, the scholar cared for the village. He never slacked on his job because the village was small or unimportant. He never slacked on his responsibility as a father and husband. The scholar was a model of an official, an exemplary family man, and an overall inspiring human being. The world seemed infected by his smile and good nature, and quickly rewarded him. Someone from the capital noticed his work, and in the next 20 years, the scholar slowly rose through the ranks until he became prime minister. The emperor loved and trusted him because he was loyal and from a civilian background instead of a noble clan. When the scholar was in his 60s, the emperor died, and the dynasty started falling apart as everyone competed for the throne. He held everything together for 15 years, preventing the dynasty from completely falling apart. He held on, smiling, when his son died while defending. He held on when his second son was assassinated, when his third daughter was implicated by her husband's family, and was killed. The scholar even held on when his wife died soon after their daughter's death due to the immense grief. In his late 70s, the dynasty finally stabilized as a new ruler finally won the confrontation, and the first thing the emperor did after taking the throne was to fire the scholar. However, the latter only smiled and calmly accepted his fate. The old scholar returned to his village and continued caring for them until his 90s. On his dying bed, a line stood before his house as all the villagers came to send him off. Many people had already prepared shrines to worship him as a sage. The old man looked at everyone who came to see him off. He told them slowly that they didn't need to, but everyone insisted. So, he smiled before the last light disappeared from his soul. Wang Wei appeared right before his death and asked, "Why smile? Why did you smile through all the pain, all the ups and downs?" The scholar was shocked, thinking the Soul Reaper had come to him. However, he then realized he was at death's door, so it made sense for them to come. He figured the question was a test before entering the afterlife. "It's because I was happy, I was content," the scholar replied. "So, this is the kind of freedom that is achieved by being happy and content," Wang Wei muttered. "It makes sense. If I let my obsession with freedom rule my life, will I be happy once I achieve my dream? With the ungodly powers, I may be able to create everything that makes me happy, but that won't change anything. I must get my priorities straight. I have to be happy and content with myself first before I achieve my dream, and that involves loving myself and cherishing the people around me, like my beautiful wife, family, and sect." This realization completed Wang Wei's spiritual journey, but the effect of the stone was not finished yet. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1507 Spiritual Perfection, Finale. Wang Wei's next experience was not a single world, but the journey of a single man that he called the Liberator. The experience started with Wang Wei battling a dragon in primordial chaos. The Liberator was dressed in all white, including his flowing hair. He had an infectious smile and playful nature as he fought, using his creation Tao and his wild imagination to the fullest. Wang Wei watched with speechlessness as the dragon caught the Liberator, wishing to crush him. But the latter turned into a giant to escape those dangerous claws. Then, the Liberator turned his tongue into an enormous rubber and caught the dragon, trying to drag him into his stomach. The dragon used its power to escape, making the Liberator angry, so he created the most enticing food for the dragon. The creature had to exercise immense restraint to prevent himself from eating that food, but the short distraction was enough for the Liberator to take a bite out of the dragon's tail. The angered dragon fired a powerful breath attack, but the Liberator created an enormous rice bowl that caught the attack and turned it into rice that he ate. The Liberator's aura drastically increased after consuming the rice, which was a sign that the bowl was a similar application of devouring Tao to swallow the enemy's attack to benefit the user. However, the strange usage baffled Wang Wei. The ultimate end of this battle was the dragon turning into sushi for the Liberator's lunch. Then, the handsome young man clad in white continued his journey through primordial chaos. Wang Wei followed him and reached a new world in turmoil. An unknown accident disconnected this world from the source Qi space, and with the reduction of spiritual energy or Tao Qi, resources became rare. It also did not help that this world's source had been depleted due to the constant fighting, and heavenly Tao had to heal all the damage. After seeing the plight of this world, the Liberator felt terrible for the people and decided to help. He first defeated and suppressed the world's top 5 most powerful factions, temporarily stopping the fighting. He then tried to reconnect the world to the source Qi space but failed, so he tried a different approach. He created 269 trillion energy pillars for the world that converted the power of primordial chaos into spiritual energy and Tao Qi. With energy available, people can cultivate normally, but the issue of resources was not completely resolved. So, the Liberator created 269 trillion resource pillars that can create resources for people. All they need is to inject their energy into the pillar, and based on the intensity and desire, the pillar will make the necessary resources. In other words, as long as the people have enough qi, which can be recovered with the addition of spiritual energy and Tao qi, they will have enough resources. Lastly, the Liberator created a world guardian with similar strength to him to watch over the world and prevent people from forcefully taking over these pillars. Wang Wei calmly watched the latter nod in satisfaction at his work before leaving for another world. The rest of the journey was the same. The Liberator would arrive in another world, help the people, enjoy the food, and move on. He never asked anything in return and always had a jovial atmosphere accompanying him. The embodiment of freedom, not only in his belief but how he spread freedom to everyone else, Wang Wei thought. This man followed a concept of freedom similar to his own, hence his enormous power and the use of the creation Tao. The main difference is that this man's freedom was more positive. Wang Wei could not even argue this form of freedom was idealistic since this man had the power to back up his actions and views. Now, you make me feel bad, Wang Wei sighed. The Liberator stopped eating and looked at him. You're the guy who has been following me? I thought you were mute on something. I don't want to talk to you. Why? The Liberator asked, confused. You make me feel bad for not being a good person, Wang Wei said, making the Liberator laugh. You don't seem like the kind of person who cares about being a kind person. I didn't, until I met you. You made me realize I could have turned out differently and maybe chosen another path. No need to blame yourself. One thing I've learned is that our experience shapes us more than we realize. I don't know you, so maybe you had your reason for choosing your path. Plus, if you truly feel this way, there is still time to change. Thanks for the advice, Wang Wei said. He had long known and accepted who he was. Even on Earth, his morality was hanging by a thread called society or laws. But how did he get that way? Well, his great mind had allowed him to see the cracks in society. He always understood that laws, money, and many societal constraints were made-up things, and they relied on a certain trust system to exist or function. After figuring out these things and seeing the cruel nature of the business world, his morality and views of the world shifted. His father also taught him that laws were meant to be understood so he could exploit them for his advantage. Lastly, it did not help that he could not rely on religion for moral guidance. You look like an interesting guy. Do you want to chat while we enjoy this rainbow pork? You have to get your own, though, since I won't be sharing, the Liberator said. Thanks for the offer, but my time has run out, Wang Wei said before the world around him changed. This time around, Wang Wei found himself following a black-clothed youth with a naturally devilish aura surrounding him. He would eventually call this man the Amoral. The Amoral was traveling through primordial chaos when he noticed a chariot traveling to an unknown location. Curious, the Amoral peeped through the chariot and noticed a man accompanying a beautiful woman. So, the bastard approached the man and asked him to hand over his wife. After refusing, the Amoral used his destruction Tao to obliterate the man before having his way with the women. Afterward, he told her he did not enjoy her resistance and eliminated her. The Amoral proceeded to a world, where he suddenly heard of a recent heist by a famous thief. He had an idea and tracked the thief, killed him, and took her identity. For the next few years, he would enter the vaults of some of the most powerful factions to steal their things before leaving a haunting picture of his private part as his signature. After having his fun, the Amoral proceeded to the next world. He found the world too peaceful, so he started a massive war that killed trillions of people. Once his bloodlust was fulfilled, the Amoral left for another world, and Wang Wei was speechless by what he experienced. The world was a brand new source chaos world, which hadn't even given birth to its first paragon. The Amoral took an artifact and planted it into the core. Wang Wei watched in shock as the entire world turned into a woman, who the Amoral has his way with. However, he did not kill her, but forced her into his harem. Then, the bastard continued his path of chaos and mayhem, eliminating anyone who tried to get in his way. No wonder true devils get a bad name, Wang Wei thought speechlessly. However, this was an eye-opener. I always said my path of absolute freedom meant I'm also free from morality. But ultimately, there are certain things I disdain to do, and I only want to be able to do so. But this man truly does not have any personal restraint. He does as he pleases and as he wants. Wang Wei continued looking at this man's action. If the liberator's absolute freedom is the positive side, then this man is the negative aspect. As for me, I'm more of the neutral, to be precise, neutral evil. Wang Wei's conclusion was correct because the next person he saw embodied the true neutral of his absolute freedom path. He met a woman who cultivated heaven Tao, and she believes that freedom, whether for mortals or cultivators, can only be achieved by enriching the mind with knowledge. He called her the Keeper. The Keeper spent all her life gathering knowledge, secrets, and truths about the world and spreading them to everyone. She did not care who got her knowledge or what they did with it. Her only criterion for spreading her knowledge was that people should have the desire to learn and an open mind. Wang Wei opened his eyes in his cultivation room and his cultivation naturally reached 100%, 10th heaven. We're finally at this step, Wang Wei exhaled deeply. He took a moment to adapt to his new power before continuing his retreat. He still had some time and wanted to utilize it. He had two things he could tackle. The first was to study the fiend god's bloodline to complete his 12th revolution, and the next was preparation to battle primals. Wang Wei knew it would take a little while before he could reach that level, but these types of people would be his enemy next. So, he taught about it and was inspired by the soul ring method he used to return to the soul path. Wang Wei wanted to create a technique based on the soul rings to reduce the burden of using ultimate techniques and maybe even allow him to use them repeatedly, almost as if he were a primal. My flesh is important since it will be my path of transcendence, but I need the bare minimum of primal strength to ensure I survive the upcoming catastrophe, Wang Wei thought. Having made his decision, he no longer hesitated and started to work. However, while he was halfway through the process, he suddenly heard a message in his mind. According to my estimation, you should not be doing something too important around this time, so come see me now. Wu Hong is already waiting. Maitreya? Wang Wei said in confusion, wondering what was so urgent. Regardless, he stopped everything he was doing and left the cultivation room. And, can you tell from this chapter that I like One Piece? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1508 The 3 Steps Wang Wei left the sect and teleported directly outside of Buddhism's domain. As soon as he arrived, a terrifying power teleported him to an unknown dimension where he saw his future wife sitting opposite Maitreya. Why do you look so pale? Wang Wei asked as he sat next to Wu Hong. Small injury, Maitreya said. Injury? From the gate? Yes. I was trying to seal the thing and buy us more time when a hand suddenly broke through and injured me. Her words immediately made the atmosphere tense. Maitreya is supposed to be the guardian of their world, but she was injured by an attack. Then, why are we here? Wu Hong asked. If even you were defeated, there is nothing we can do. I call you here to prepare in advance, Maitreya said before summoning a crystal orb. The two were confused until they scanned the orb with their divine sense. Wang Wei immediately noticed the orb contained a world of runes, and the runes seemed to form a technique. Is this the method you used to achieve your realm? Wu Hong asked. That's right. You two are the people with the highest chances of entering my realm. More importantly, your morality meets my requirements, Maitreya explained, making Wang Wei speechless. He was just complaining about his lack of morality during his retreat, but someone told him they chose him because of his morality. Maitreya seemed to have guessed something from his expression, so she explained, when I say morality, I don't mean good and evil. I mean you two will not have an issue spreading this method to ensure more people work on it and benefit the world. In Maitreya's mind, Wang Wei had the perfect balance of open-mindedness and sect loyalty. He will choose the best for the sect, but he also understood the concept of sharing the cake to ensure that everyone is happy. So, when necessary, he won't mind making this technique available to the public to facilitate the growth of the eternal ascension world, which will, in turn, benefit the Tao opening sect. Wu Hong would do the same for two reasons. Firstly, she has a passion for teaching and changing the fate of others. Maitreya is aware that she has the habit of leaving fortunate encounters all over the world, including leaving her legacy to find disciples. Secondly, Wu Hong is confident and arrogant enough that she will not care if people have access to this technique since she knows no one will be able to surpass her. I'm glad you have such faith in us, but don't you have too much faith? Wang Wei said with a wry smile. However, Maitreya only replied with a gentle nod. You can comprehend it, and I'll maintain the time array. Wang Wei looked at Wu Hong and she nodded. So, they closed their eyes and started. The technique was detailed, it even included Maitreya's experience. It was a transcendent technique, so it took a while for either of them to comprehend, but once they did, they understood why this method was flawed. They realized that 99% of people who received this technique would fail to cultivate it. The essence of the method was that Maitreya could send her soul across the infinite trichiliocosm and meet her variants. She would confront them before swallowing them. After repeating the process millions of times, she used her knowledge of the past, present, and future Buddha scroll to create a future self, with infinite possibilities of growth and evolution. The future self then fused with Maitreya's soul, allowing it to experience endless possibilities until it found the possibility in which her soul elevated to a higher self by embedding the concept of endless possibilities into her existence. After what felt like an instant, Wu Hong opened her eyes with a furrowed brow. The technique was too flawed, and it was evident that it would not have worked if not for Maitreya's drastic improvement. In fact, she could tell the original idea of this technique was to swallow enough paragon souls of the variants to forcefully open the gate of transcendence. No, Wang Wei commented with his eyes still closed. You already had the blueprint, why didn't you follow it? The future self is a brilliant idea, but it's not enough. We need all three, past, present, and future self. The past represents eternity and unchangeability. The present represents change, growth, and self-determination. Lastly, the future is about endless possibilities. After condensing all three, you will have a soul imbued with numerous concepts before elevating to a higher form of existence, transcendence. That is brilliant, Maitreya said with shining eyes. This idea can allow her to reforge her foundation and make up for the flaw of her ascension. More importantly, such a method had universal applications. Anyone with a soul can use this path of transcendence if they succeed in creating it. Let's not waste time and finish this, Maitreya said, and the three started working together. However, it did not take long for Wang Wei to become useless. Compared to those two, he was too young and lacked too much knowledge and experience. So, he served as the director of the project, ensuring his idea was executed according to how he envisioned it. Wu Hong lasted until the technique was 85%, and Maitreya had to finish the rest. A complete and perfect transcendent technique, Maitreya smiled after seeing the final result. More importantly, it's a universal technique applicable to a large group of people. She sighed at the wonders of the world. This technique was not possible only because of Wang Wei's idea but due to Buddhism's foundation. The past, present, future Buddha scroll was a unique project from the religion to write a supreme sutra. The three brothers from the lower dimension started this project, but it was refined and completed in the upper dimension when Buddhism finally gave birth to triplets who achieved Buddhahood and became peak paragons. The scripture has helped Maitreya achieve her realm, so she has spent countless years studying and improving upon it during the previous era. Today, all the causes and effects behind that scripture have accumulated into this transcendent technique. Thank you, Maitreya said to them. No problem, Wang Wei nodded. He had just acquired a transcendent technique, so he should be the one thanking her. Wu Hong nodded in response, but she seemed distracted. What's on your mind? Wang Wei asked. This technique is perfectly suited for you too since you cultivate time Tao or deeply understand it, but it's different for me. You want to add your own twist to it? Wang Wei asked, and she nodded. That's not a bad idea, Wang Wei thought. He could add a bit more of his fate Tao to make the technique ideally suited for him. Well, this meeting was extremely productive. I even found a direct path to true transcendence, Wang Wei said with a smile. Oh? Maitreya asked, slightly distracted as she was still thinking about the technique. The answer is in front of us, isn't it? What is the fundamental aspect of all cultivation systems? Essence, spirit, and qi, Wuhang replied, having figured out where he was going with this. That's right, so the path of transcendence is obvious. First, the soul achieves transcendence, which is the realm you and supreme unity were. The next is for the flesh to achieve transcendence to balance things out. The third step is for the Tao to elevate itself, and finally, all three are fused into one, and I can detach myself from the chaos universe itself. As soon as he uttered these words, the three felt a slight tremor, not in the eternal ascension world, but throughout the chaos universe. Wang Wei and Wuhang immediately tried to divine or calculate what had happened, but they could only get vague and useless answers, so they looked at Maitreya. She blessed them with their strength and they understood what had happened. Grand Tao finally made the cultivation stage after the Paragon Realm official. It is called the Quintessence Realm, and is divided into 3 steps: Soul Quintessence, Flesh Quintessence, and Tao Quintessence. The soul and flesh were interchangeable as the first and second steps, but the third was not. The news was made public to all, half-step transcendent, who were actually mostly people in the first step of the Quintessence Realm, but it will soon reach Paragons. 3 steps, 3 levels, Wang Wei thought. According to this division, Maitreya and everyone else from the ultimate taboo are first-step quintessence, and 99% of them are probably walking the soul path. The cardinals should be in the second step, with both their soul and body having already transcended. The only third steps I can think of are Ji Dingxian, the founder of the Heart Desire Palace and Ji Clan ancestor and Grand Tao. Ji Dingxian definitely reached the third step and was attempting to become a true transcendent, like the founder of the primeval body mansion and that Genesis age creature. His last test was a confrontation against Grand Tao, and it appeared he lost and died. This also confirms that there is a difference in strength between each step, and it can be vast, Wang Wei thought. It's one thing to defeat someone and something entirely to kill them, especially at that level of power. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1509 The Siddhartha Path. While analyzing the implications of this reveal, he realized Grand Tao's actions were all showy and had no substance. While it revealed the name of the next realm, it did not release information on how to enter it. On the contrary, how the realm is named and phrased will have specific adverse effects. Wang Wei stopped receiving the information and looked at Wuhang. Your 3,800 seals, are they? Probably an incomplete and limited Tao quintessence, Wuhang nodded. The seals were her life work and a summary of her talent and hard work, but she never knew exactly what they were until now. Even if it's incomplete, their existence will mean you'll have a scary battle prowess in the first and second steps, and your path to the third step will look 1,000 times easier, Wang Wei commented. And? Wuhang looked at him smugly, with something hidden deep in her eyes. Can't you give us lowly mortals a chance to breathe? Wang Wei sighed. Scared you'll be suppressed all your life? Keep dreaming. The day that I will dominate you and regain my manhood is fastly approaching. I can already taste it, Wang Wei sneered. You can keep dreaming. You'll see, Wang Wei countered. And you just gave me an idea. He activated his awakening to summon all 12 of his fate palaces before condensing them into his independent river of fate. One of your seals is fate, right? I wanted to seal all 3,800 Daos, so yes, Wuhang nodded. Do you want to study it to create your version of an incomplete Tao quintessence? As always, you can read me like an open book, Wang Wei nodded. My foundation has allowed me to condense a prototype of a Tao quintessence, if you can call it that. His fate palaces were indeed a Tao quintessence, and they only appeared on people with extreme talents, a unique foundation, and whose Tao and ambition perfectly fit together. However, Wang Wei felt this thing was not worth its name since the advantage it gave him to reach higher realms was minuscule. Of course, minuscule was for someone like him with transcendent luck, pseudo and complete quintessence techniques, and a clear path ahead. That's a good idea. Do you want me to give it to you now? No, I'm not ready yet for that level, Wang Wei refused. He was still focusing on becoming a primal, so there was no point in thinking about things above that for now. Plus, my flesh quintessence technique is about to reach 30% completion after using what I learned today. I can exchange it with you then. Alright, Wu Hong nodded. A technique that was only a third completed will help immensely for her flesh quintessence realm. Oh, I can also give you a copy, Wang Wei said to Maitreya. I will give my thanks in advance, she replied with a smile. It was quite enjoyable watching the seamless rapport between these two. No problem. By the way, how is Fenghang and Wuji? You should have already revived them, right? They are doing well, preparing to enter the Paragon realm. Oh. Your sect has granted me early access to the scroll, and since I felt I owed them, I used my personal merit to buy all the resources they need to become Paragon as soon as possible, Maitreya explained. That's good to hear. I've had this idea on how to achieve soul quintessence that may be perfectly suited for Fenghang, Wang Wei said before telling her about his idea of a pure spiritual cultivation. You're talking about the Siddhartha path, Maitreya said, and Wang Wei's eyes squinted at that name. Back on Earth, the founder of Buddhism was Siddhartha Gautama. The what path? It's a secret of Buddhism passed on only to the venerable abbot, Maitreya explained, not caring that she was revealing such a vital secret. The first Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, showed up during the Essence Age and spread Buddhism and its path of spiritual practice, focusing on enlightening the mind instead of cultivation. However, this path is slow, even slower than cultivating the Grand Tao Source, which meant only people with great patience and intense focus could walk on it, but even then, no one has ever come close to Sir Gautama. After the Essence Age ended, the Buddhist sect saw how Grand Tao limited the body refining path, so they decided to keep Siddhartha's path a secret. Maitreya shook her head. The path was already difficult, and now, the number of people partaking in it has drastically decreased. You can imagine what happened next. It slowly faded into the shadows, Wang Wei replied. In the current era, less than 200 people know of its existence, and less than 5 are practicing it, Maitreya sighed. You? I used to in my youth, but I've long lost my way, Maitreya said truthfully. There is still a chance to return, Wang Wei added. There is no need. I have my own path, she denied. Her path was more of a balance of the two. She would not favor cultivation or spiritual practice, but used the advantage of both. Normally, such an attempt would be futile, but her previous spiritual enlightenment and the new soul quintessence have granted her this opportunity. That's good to hear, Wang Wei nodded. You're right that Fenghang's personality is suited for this path, Maitreya said before she felt something. It did not help that Wang Wei and Wu Hong were staring at her in shock and worry. She wiped her nose and touched blood. It seems I pushed myself too much, Maitreya said with a smile. The surroundings suddenly trembled, and the time bubble encasing the group dissipated. Wang Wei used his fingers to calculate how long had passed, and he took a deep breath. They spent 500 million yuan epochs to complete the technique, but only 500,000 years had passed on the outside. Even the weakest soul quintessence has such power, Wang Wei thought. The limit of time accelerated allowed was 10, but Maitreya easily broke those rules and reached an acceleration threshold of 1,000, albeit she had to push herself to do it. You should rest, Wu Hong said. I will, Maitreya nodded while looking her in the eyes. I know I've said this before, but I'm really sorry for what I did. I know you are, Wu Hong sighed. I just don't understand why you felt this was the best approach. You could have talked to me and Yen Hai to find a better way. There is no excuse except that I was selfish. I couldn't resist the temptation of a higher realm and placed my well-being above everything, Maitreya admitted. A choice I've come to regret dearly. Maybe I was too harsh on you, Wuhong said. Despite Maitreya's status as a nun, Wuhong never treated her as an infallible Buddha with great moral virtue. It's one of the reasons they got along so well. She has always treated Maitreya as human, as someone capable of making mistakes. Do you want me to give you some space? Wang Wei asked. That would be great, Wuhong said. But don't forget to come see me once you finish your sect affair. Of course, Wang Wei nodded before standing up and bowing to Maitreya. He cheekily sent an air kiss to Wuhong before leaving in a happy mood. Wuhong shook her head while a smile crept onto her mouth. You two are perfect for each other, Maitreya commented. Maybe we are, Wuhong muttered. Let's not talk about him. How about we drink and eat like old times? Is hibiscus tea still your favorite? Oh, yes, please. You have no idea how much I crave your tea. I've stolen it from my past self or other timelines, but somehow, the taste is never quite right. That's because it's not the same. I prepare the tea based on the mood and atmosphere, and they are perfectly designed for your taste and the moment, Wuhong explained as she weaved runes to prepare the tea. So, that's how it is. You've always been attentive, Maitreya smiled. What's on the menu today? Your second favorite meal, earthroot cabbage from the White Heaven world, boiled in purifying abyss water from the Howling Wolf world, and seasoned with my own pepper grown from positive emotion. The joyous sea cabbage soup, Maitreya said with shining eyes. She looked at the soup, which was shining with golden light, and could barely restrain herself. Every time I think I've escaped my earthly desires, your food appears to humble me. You don't have to eat it if you don't want to, Wuhong said, almost rolling her eyes at her friend's exaggeration. She took a bite of her food, which contained meat. Like her future husband, she greatly enjoyed meat and rice. I never said that, Maitreya swiftly replied as she used her chopsticks to take a bite out of the cabbage. She closed her eyes as her tongue experienced flavors unlike anything she had felt before. One of the disadvantages of a powerful cultivator is how their sense of taste is potent beyond anything mortals could imagine. However, this disadvantage can turn into an advantage when met with the right chef and food. Your cooking subdao should have reached 100%, right? Maitreya asked. What do you think? Wuhong said. When she was young, she spent most of her time on the run and had to eat whatever was available. At one point, she wanted to eat something good, and since she couldn't enter any restaurant because the devil race was searching for her, she decided to learn to cook. Since that day, cooking has become her passion, allowing her to survive some of the darkest times in her younger years. So, when the opportunity arrived, she learned cooking as a subdao and pushed it to the limit. I once tried to learn how to cook, but I didn't have the talent for it, Maitreya said. She could make a passable meal with her cultivation, but she knew her dishes were nothing compared to the people who were talented and passionate about this field. We all have our limitations, Wuhong said, thinking about how a certain bastard said her talent for writing and creativity was mediocre. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 15:10 Essence Gate Art. After returning to the sect, Wang Wei did not immediately contact the ancestors since they might still be in retreat. According to his calculation, 72,000 yuan epochs had passed, which may not have been enough for them to return to their peak. So, he requested a meeting, and to his surprise, he received a reply almost immediately. Wang Wei flew to the Elder Council Mountain where he saw Yan Hai and the others' projection was waiting. Aren't you guys here a little too fast? Wang Wei asked. We had to leave our retreat after sensing the sudden change of heaven and earth, Qiuan replied. No one is here, so you can sit down anywhere. The arrangement of the room was simple but showed a clear hierarchy. 4 cushions stood in a slightly elevated position at the front of the room, while the rest were in large clumps in the lower section. However, Wang Wei also noticed there were 45 seats at the front of the clumps while the rest had more than 100. He remembered the information about the sect and realized the front seats were the peak paragons. If I remember correctly, the front row previously had 57. The casualty of the ultimate taboo is not as high as I thought, Wang Wei thought. Losing more than 10 peak paragons was a significant loss to any faction, but considering the scale of the event, this number was acceptable since other factions would lose more. Everyone sat in a circular pattern in the lower section, so Wang Wei sat next to Yan Hai. I'm guessing whatever changes occurred have something to do with you, Yan Hai said. Yes, and no, Wang Wei admitted before telling them about Grand Dao's great reveal. The transcendent era is already here, Qiuan muttered. The upcoming catastrophe was just to speed up things. Why, what about us, body refiners? Wang Chong asked. Our soul is fused with our bodies, and we don't have a Dao. Do we have to start cultivating power Dao? You may not have a soul, but you have a mind, Li Ming said. You can also use your willpower for the soul quintessence. As for Dao, you may have to study the power Grand Dao source. Isn't the true power Dao realm the purest essence of the power Dao? You just need to understand the concept of power to a sufficient level for the Dao quintessence, Yan Hai chimed in. You, of all people, have deep insight into body refining. I think I've officially seen everything in the chaos universe, Wang Chong said, not hiding his shock. Shut up, you jerk. Now that I'm refining my body, it won't be long before I can use my flesh body to suppress you, Yan Hai sneered. You can try, Wang Chong fired back. He would rather die than let this woman beat him in a competition of the flesh. So, what do you think? Qiuan asked, talking to Wang Wei. About what? About pure body refiner's path in the quintessence realm. The name of the realm is itself a trap on people's minds, Wang Wei sneered. There is no need to follow the 3 steps. A pure body refiner can probably transcend their bodies 3 times to become a 3rd-step quintessence powerhouse. In fact, my theory is that's how things were in the Essence Age. That would be simpler, Wang Chong said. However, each transition would have to be exponentially more potent than the previous one, and that's not mentioning the resources that each transition would require. If this is what the transcendent path was like in the Essence Age, I understand why Grand Dao limited it. How would that work with the gates? Li Ming asked. Would it require condensing a 5th and 6th gate? Why not? Wang Wei replied before further elaborating. The 4th gate requires the combination of the Gate of Ascension, Gate of Power, and Gate of Flesh. Maybe you need to create 3 new subsidiary gates from the 4th gate and combine them into the 5th gate. No, it would require 6 subsidiary gates for the 5th, and 9 for the 6th. Then, you combine the 4th, 5th, and 6th gates to create the 7th gate to achieve true transcendence. Wang Wei's eyes as this path had great potential. However, his body suddenly paused as he realized the implications. If the 7th gate is already on par with true transcendence, what about the 8th and 9th gates? Was that possible? Wang Wei was not the only one who understood numerology, so the others soon had the same thought as him. Then, a chill ran down their spines. They had never considered whether there was a further path beyond transcendence, since they were all focused on that first. But now, they had to think about it, and the implications scared them. No need to think about things beyond our understanding, Qiuan said, and everyone nodded. So, besides Wang Wei, the others immediately put that thought on the back of their mind, with a spell to remind them when they are more powerful. Interesting. Could Hong Meng not be the end of cultivation? Or do the rules operate differently? But if there are rules, can I still have absolute freedom? Wang Wei did not know the answer to these questions, and he probably won't for a while. However, a seed had been implanted in his mind by this deduction. Your path is viable, Qiuan commented. However, it won't be easy to create those subsidiary gates. Transcendence was never meant to be an easy path, Wang Chong said, not hiding his excitement. Now that he had a way forward, he could dedicate his time, effort, and talent to this goal. I can give you a copy of my fourth gate technique, but it's only 13% completed now, and it will take me a little while for it to reach 30%, Wang Wei suggested. This path might seem useless to him, but it's not. His current plan is to achieve soul quintessence before the flesh. However, after entering the second step, he can still use this path to create a fifth gate, drastically increasing his strength in the second step. In fact, this technique might be the key for Wang Wei to retain his dominance of strength in the quintessence realm, along with the flawed Tao quintess. I'll start with the 13% version, Wang Chong said with shining eyes. It seems his luck was on the rise. Wang Wei nodded and gave him a copy. You should be warned that you must also recondense your gate of ascension. Already in the process, Wang Chong revealed. During the Second Origin War, he encountered people from the primeval body mansion and learned of that gate's importance. That's good to hear, Wang Wei nodded. Do you have any other ideas for the essence gate art? Wang Wei's lips twitched. This bastard hadn't even created a fourth gate yet, but he had already named the technique for creating the subsequent gates. Regardless, he thought about it for a moment. The core of the fourth gate is the gate of flesh. The gate of ascension symbolizes improvement and evolution, and the gate of power is the foundation of body refining. They combine to give the flesh the possibility to evolve to a higher state of existence. It grants them higher potential. The fourth gate can be called the gate of evolution or the gate of transformation. The subsequent gates must allow the body to evolve and increase its potential. When I met the people from the mansion, they organized the type of cultivation based on the approach, like Yin Qi path, Giantification path, or world body path. Our clan will soon have a human fiend god bloodline, meaning we walk the bloodline path. Maybe the subsidiary gates are based on these paths. For example, the bloodline gate, and since you cultivated the ancient desolate body refining scripture, you can condense an artifact body fusion gate and a star body gate. A bright light emanated from Wang Chong's eyes. They said a man can die the next day after being enlightened, and he had never understood these words more than today. I'll take my leave, Wang Chong said before canceling his projection. Immediately afterward, the others felt someone accessing all of the sex chi luck to cultivate, but they did not stop him. I'm glad he found his path, Qiuan smiled. What about you guys? Wang Wei asked. This soul quintessence technique is too biased toward time Tao, so I'll probably change it to suit me more, Yan Hao said, and Qiuan nodded in agreement. My hunger said the same thing, Wang Wei said without a hint of shame on his face. It's the best approach, Qiuan said. I don't know. Everyone looks at Li Ming. Is something wrong? I have this feeling this may not be the best suited path for me, Li Ming said. As a fighter, his soul and body were in top shape, albeit not the best. However, he felt the standard path might not fit his personality and ambitions. I may have a suggestion. Everyone looked at Wang Wei. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1511 Unique Skill Path. After the performance with Wang Chong, everyone had high expectations of what he was about to say. However, Wang Wei remained calm and asked a question first. Be honest with me. Throughout the Chaos Universe, how would you rank your fighting ability? If you're talking about pure fighting skill, then I can say with confidence I'm in the top 5, and top 3 if I'm being cocky, Li Ming said calmly. That's good. In that case, you can draw inspiration from Maitreya's flaw method, Wang Wei said. You can visit all your variants and fight them to absorb their battle skills. Then, you can slowly and methodically elevate your skill to the level of transcendence. That's an interesting plan, but isn't that a path of condensing a Tao quintessence? Li Ming asked. Yes, but your path will be walking backwards. You will condense the Tao quintessence and use its power to nourish your soul and body, Wang Wei explained. Yan Liling had long planned to walk a skill path, and this method was also applicable to her. But Grand Dao said, yes, I can't be limited by its rules, Li Ming said. However, there must be a reason for placing the restriction that the soul quintessence can only be condensed on the third step. Or do you think it's just about control? Control plays a role, but I also think there is some logic to this decision, Wang Wei continued. What do you think the Dao quintessence is? Li Ming frowned deeply, thinking for a few seconds. Luckily, his big brother came to his rescue, an independent Grand Dao source or Grand Construct, Qiuan said. Exactly, Wang Wei nodded. It makes sense you would need a potent soul and body to contain or control a grand construct as powerful as the one in our universe. Li Ming's eyes shone with brilliant lights. As long as I can control the size of my battle grand construct, it won't be considered a true Dao quintessence and can bypass Grand Dao's rules and not suffer any punishment. Then, I will use its power to elevate my body and soul. Yes, but you should understand it won't be as simple as you stated, Wang Wei warned. Oh, I know, Li Ming nodded. Grand Dao was not a fool, so it would not allow such a loophole to be easily exploited. Can I see Maitreya's original flawed technique? Oh, no problem, Wang Wei said before condensing an orb and slowly entering the rune world. The recording process took him 3 hours since he had to do it by memorization instead of just copying an existing version. Thanks, Li Ming nodded. No problem, Wang Wei said before thinking of something. He hesitated briefly before asking, where is the scroll? It's with me, Yan Hai said before summoning it. Wang Wei received it and bought an existence contract. He recorded the terms and handed them to Qiuan. Before I say anything else, please sign this contract. The information I'm about to share does not belong to me, hence the need for secrecy. We understand, Qiuan said with a smile. This conversation has proven that his decision was correct. Wang Wei was the future of the sect, and he would bring everyone along with him toward the path of transcendence. There is a saying that when a man is enlightened, even his chickens and dogs will become immortal, and that conversation was the best proof of that ancient wisdom. The contract was straightforward since it was about not revealing any information. So, the three signed it without hesitation. If you want to have a head start for your Dao quintessence, talk with Wu Hong and she'll allow you to study her seal. However, you must pay her something worth the exchange or owe her a great karma. Qiuan squinted his eyes as he put 2 and 2 together about his recent missing memory. No problem. Even if you didn't say, we wouldn't take her stuff for granted, Yan Hai added. Just making sure, Wang Wei said while sending a talisman to Wu Hong to warn her of what he did. I think that's everything for now, right? You're a peak paragon, meaning you have to participate in the Supreme Elder ceremony, Li Ming reminded, making Wang Wei furrow his brow. I remember the ceremony can be a big deal or not based on personal choice, right? Yes. The standard ceremony is to invite all the overlords and top factions. However, given the current situation, it may be best to keep it in the sect, Li Ming replied. Then, let's keep it simple, Wang Wei said. Don't forget you're also the Wang clan patriarch, Qiuan added. According to the rules, you're a primal seed, so you can keep the position until you reach that level. However, given your potential, it may be in our best interest for you to keep the position until you've condensed your soul quintessence. That's true, Wang Wei nodded. The feedback the clan will receive should be astronomical if he remains the patriarch. What's Yan Liling and Li Jun's situation? Do you think they have transcendent potential? Yan Hai asked. It would be best if those two had such potential since they can give them the patriarch position for the same reason as Wang Wei. Their status was that of ancestor, meaning they could not retake the patriarch position as that would damage the sect's luck instead of improving it. After all, for an ancestor, to retake power would mean they are morally corrupt or the clan situation has reached the point in which there are no viable heirs, all things that will negatively affect the clan's luck. Before I left, Yan Liling had already found a path similar to the skill path I mentioned, Wang Wei replied. As for Li Jun, I have a feeling his time as the Earth Emperor will be an immense opportunity for him. You haven't checked on them? When did I have the time? Wang Wei sighed. That's true, Yan Hai nodded. You better check on them as soon as possible, Qiuan warned. According to my calculation, Heavenly Tao will probably lock down the lower dimension again once the catastrophe begins. It should have learned from its mistake and know the significance of the lower dimension, Wang Wei nodded. He decided to check the situation of the lower dimension as soon as he got everything situated here. Did we miss anything? Wang Wei asked. I should tell you that Su Dandan has already left for the primeval body mansion, Qiuan said. So, you agreed with my decision? Wang Wei asked. We indeed need a possible way out of this catastrophe, Qiuan nodded. However, you should understand that even the most surface karma with such an entity will never be simple. I know. That's why I left the ultimate decision to you guys. You know more and understand better than me of the risk, Wang Wei nodded. Based on the current system, the mansion should at least have one second-step quintessence powerhouse, Qiuan said with great severity. We must also assume their founder left a means to protect them from Grand Tao, so at the bare minimum, a third-step weapon, array, or guardian puppet. Why do you think they've never abused that power? Wang Wei asked. Do you think there is something, besides Grand Tao, that is balancing their power? Are you talking about the first transcendent? Li Ming asked. Yes. It's possible, Qiuan nodded. It's also possible that at their level, a chaos universe means nothing. Maybe even family affection is pointless. That would be sad, Wang Wei stated. If he became emotionless after achieving transcendence, it would not be worth it. You guys' thinking is too negative, Yan Hai added. I think the most likely cause is they took their loved ones with them, and the people remaining are just the branches far removed from their bloodline. That's possible, Wang Wei nodded. But if that's true, true transcendence bloodline is on another level. When one clan member reaches a higher level, family members with the same bloodline will receive nourishment or a blessing. This fact is one of the reasons that most clans can remain prosperous for eons. It is terrifying that the current rulers of the primeval body mansion are distant descendants of the second transcendent but have still reached the level of the second step. There is no need to envy them, Qiuan said with a smile. Under your leadership, our sect will one day be a transcendent faction with numerous true transcendents. Okay, now you're talking nonsense, meaning it's my time to leave, Wang Wei said as he stood up. He would not readily accept this burden even if he had such ambitions. At least, not now. I have done what you asked, so come to my mountain to check on these people, Yan Hai suddenly said. Why do you people keep preventing me from meeting my future wife, he complained. However, he immediately fled to Yan Hai's heaven-slashing mountain, after she stared at him. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 15:12 The Ma clan's heaven chosens. As soon as Wang Wei arrived in heaven-slashing mountain, an assembly of sword wills and intense assaulted his spirit. He remained calm since he was not a swordsman and his spirit could take it, but the sight before him was oddly beautiful. The mountain was a sword grave or monument. From the bottom to the top, swords of different shapes and sizes were embedded in the ground. The mountain itself was made of a unique material that could nourish these swords to preserve their spirit, sword intent, or sword will. At the top of the mountain was a small mansion, and Wang Wei sensed 10 terrifying sword wills from inside. He sighed but couldn't shake his head. Beautiful, isn't it? Yan Hai said as she appeared next to him. I'm guessing these swords are from people you've defeated? Wang Wei asked. Of course. The higher the sword location, the more memorable the swordsman was, Yan Hai said with pride. Only 10 of them are allowed inside my cultivation room. Wang Wei looked at all the millions of swords in this mountain and sighed. No wonder the other swordsmen hate and respect you. A swordsman's sword is a part of themselves, some even loved it more than their wives. However, Yan Hai would strip that love from them as a form of humiliation after defeating or killing them for her sword monument. It's an honor for them to have their swords here, Yan Hai said calmly. This thing started as a way to use other people's sword intent to sharpen hers, but eventually, it also turned into collecting swords from competent swordsmen. You should have branded it like that, Wang Wei added. Make the mountain public for others, and make it look like an honor to be remembered by you. Had you done this, your reputation in the sword Dao world would have been better. Brother Qi once said the same thing. There are quotas every generation for swordsmen to visit this place. And despite how they talk behind my back, most of them know a sign of a mighty swordsman is if their swords are here. Oh? Wang Wei asked. Anyone who wishes to test themselves can summon my projection at any cultivation stage in this place to test whether they are worthy. Of course, these cunning bastards will cultivate a second sword to leave here, Yan Hai revealed. Don't tell me you've never been defeated? I have, but it's usually during the lower realm, Yan Hai admitted. Do the winners get a prize or something? Yes, they get to take a sword back or receive direct instruction from me, Yan Hai explained. Many people who know they cannot get their swords from me cultivate the younger generation to try. That makes sense, Wang Wei nodded before looking at this sword monument with a daze. What's wrong? I was just thinking that my father would love this place. Yan Hai patted his shoulder. His soul flame is burning bright, meaning he's alive, and that's all that matters. We will find him. I know, Wang Wei nodded, taking a moment to control himself. They slowly flew toward the mountain's top. How are things going with the Sword League path? I've started the negotiation, but I'm delaying things until the catastrophe. They should be more desperate by then and willing to pay a higher price. So, you've decided to cheat them? It's the best approach, isn't it? Yan Hai smiled. True. Have you started planning for the other sword paths? I have activated our previous dormant agents, and they've revealed the ultimate sword path has appeared in 5 other chaos worlds. Only 5? After so many years of dormancy, our exterior shadow agency has been damaged, and that's all the information we can gather for now, Yan Hai explained. Should we be doing something about this? Shadow Ruler will be taking care of it, but as you know, many eyes are on us now, so it's dangerous for him to travel through primordial chaos at this time. Wang Wei nodded. Under normal circumstances, Shadow Ruler's skill was enough to evade even primals, but his ability would be useless before any first-step quintessence tried to catch him. He should send Carmelus clones and wait until the last section of the Heaven Scroll is open, and we buy him something for protection. That's what Brother Qi suggested. I've also sent a new proxy avatar to protect his clone, but I doubt that would be of much help, Yan Hai replied. They had arrived at the mountain, and Wang Wei looked around. The mansion was simple, with 1 layer and 4 rooms. One was for guests, the other for her cultivation. It was also the place she kept the top 10 swords. The third room contained a sword collection, but this one appeared to be the one refined by Yan Hai and nourished by her sword will. Wang Wei reckoned these swords were rewards for the sect's disciples. The last room was a dimension of its own with numerous bamboos, probably from other chaos worlds since Wang Wei couldn't recognize many of them. The bamboos were beautiful and of different varieties, and based on a preliminary observation, they were well taken care of. Ancestor, I didn't know you love bamboo this much, Wang Wei commented. What exactly do you think of me? Wang Wei's body paused. For my safety, it's best I don't answer that question. Yan Hai stared at him, making Wang Wei embarrassed. I'm not just a swordsman or your ancestor. I have my own life and hobbies. She has been cultivating bamboo gardens since she was young under Gao Zhu's care. One of the reasons she regretted turning her into Sword One and leaving her in the lower dimension because the experience was never the same without her. Sorry about that. Yan Hai didn't care. Most people think she's one-dimensional anyway. She led him to the guest room but did not offer tea, which made Wang Wei think the ancestor was a little petty. After all, he had apologized. Yan Hai waved her hand to summon 2 people, a man and a woman. Them? Yes. Of all the Ma clan, they are the most talented, Yan Hai nodded. Wang Wei observed them. They had dreamy eyes, which is usually a sign of people with high spirituality, dream, or illusion talents. They resembled each other and wore blue, except Ma Honghua had a red flower on her hanfu, and Ma Wen had a butterfly on his robe. Their body language indicated they were closed and strict competitors. D Realm, 9-Leaf Foundation, Emperor Taboo Battle Realm, Peak Empyrean Cultivation, and a Paragon Soul, Wang Wei muttered. You went above and beyond. Thank you, Ancestor. You should thank me, Yan Hai said with slightly gritted teeth. These Ma clan people used to be protected by the memorialized luck of creating the Void Illusion Realm, yet they were reduced to such a terrible state. Do you know how many terrible decisions they made to reach that level? Decisions I had to deal with when purifying their bloodline. Ma Wen and Ma Honghua blushed in shame for their ancestors' actions, while Wang Wei was ashamed for letting her do all the work. I didn't expect it would be this challenging. Yan Hai caressed her temple. I really hope our descendants won't be so stupid if something happens to us. The entire process stressed her out as she thought this may be the fact of the Tao opening sect. Wang Wei wanted to reassure her, but couldn't find the words. If all of them were gone, the Tao opening sect might face the same situation. Despite the sect's rules and spirit, nothing can resist the erosion of time. So, without guidance and protection, it's highly likely their fate would eventually be the same as the Ma clan. We just have to ensure nothing happens to us, Wang Wei said before focusing on the two heaven chosens. He pondered briefly before pointing at Ma Wen. I choose you. Ma Honghua's body tensed, and she secretly clenched her fists. However, she immediately controlled herself and cupped her hands together. Congratulations, Brother Wen. Thank you, Sister Honghua. I promise you to lead our clan to glory, and even find the resources for your paragon tribulations, Ma Wen replied with a salute, but his eyes did not hide his contentment and mockery. Wang Wei looked at them with an odd look. Ma Wen did not know being chosen was a death sentence. He chose him not because he was better, but because he thought it would be funny for Ma Liqiu to revive herself in a man's body. He handed Ma Wen one of the Mortalhood Trials tokens. Take a few years to calm your mind and reach your peak state before activating the token. I will, Ma Wen said, having calmed down from the previous excited state. Wang Wei nodded in acknowledgement before looking at Ma Honghua. While he's away, you're in charge of the Ma clan. As you wish, Lord. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know and report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1513 The State of the World, unedited chapter. Wang Wei dismissed the Ma clan people, had a brief chat with Yan Hai before returning to his mountain. Matriarch Xia Huan was already waiting for him. Where is Wang Qi? He's preparing for his immortal king tribulation, she replied. So, he finally listened to me and took his cultivation seriously? Wang Wei muttered. Follow me. He headed to his fishing pond and summoned the fate rod to test his luck. Wu Hong should still be reuniting with Maitreya, meaning he had some time. What do you need to report? The first thing is about the flame blacksmith, Xia Huan said. His memory was perfectly erased, and before he returned to the association, he left a note. Wang Wei took the note. It was mainly about thanking him for everything he's done for him. The flame blacksmith also suggests their alliance continued and be expanded to their respective faction. I wonder if you would feel this way if you knew the thing was in my hands. He put the note away before asking, what happened with copying the tablet? I don't know, but Sir Wang Bo said to see him once you were out. I'll go see him in a while, Wang Wei nodded. Continue. 3 main events occurred during your retreat. The first one is about the increasing confrontation between the demons and innate demon gods. The sacred mountain publicly slaughtered all the heaven primarchs before accusing the temple of hiding traitors. Then, they launched a campaign to turn the world against the temple. Interesting. Did the temple kill their primarchs or fall into civil strife? Wang Wei asked. He caught some rubbish material for Saint Tyr cultivator, so he tried again. Internal strife, Xia Huan replied. They refused to kill their heaven primax, leading to infighting. How bad is it? About 3,000 yuan epochs ago, there was a full-scale battle between two paragons and heaven primarchs in the temple, and someone had to stop them forcefully. And you're sure this was not a show to deceive the public? Wang Wei asked. Our information indicated a 95% chance of this fight being real. What is the public's response to this campaign? Wang Wei asked. The loose cultivators are in an uproar, but it's more because they see this as a chance for chaos and plunder. Many have even attacked the resource centers of the temple. The Limitless Exchange Hall has publicly denounced the actions of these people. The other overlords? That's where the second major event comes into play, Xia Huan replied. The tribal sacred mountains have called for a grand assembly, calling for all the overlords to discuss the possibility of the temple being a liability. Wang Wei squinted. The Grand Assembly was a meeting of all the overlords and lineages with a primal paragon. It can only happen when 7 out of the 13 overlords agree. How many have agreed so far? 5, Xia Huan replied. Every few years, someone publicly announced their willingness to discuss this issue. So, they are trying to put pressure on the temple to deal with this matter internally, Wang Wei analyzed. Have we said anything yet? Not yet, but the demon race came and talked with ancestor Yan Hai. However, I don't know what the final decision was. Wang Wei took out his primal seed token and accessed the Elder Council communication hall to check Yan Hai's decision on the matter. As expected, Wang Wei was right. The consensus is that it would be best for the temple to deal with this internally, but if necessary, a grand assembly will be held to discuss whether to intervene. Things are not so simple, Wang Wei muttered. The assembly has the power to intervene in a faction's affairs, but only if the faction's affairs are a security threat to everyone else, and the majority decides to enforce the ruling. The temple knows this, and the existence of the primarchs can be argued to be a threat with the upcoming catastrophe. So, why haven't they solved the problem yet? The temple could have easily alleviated the situation by temporarily sealing the heaven primarchs. It is indeed odd. Their temple lords are primal paragons, so why haven't they forcefully suppressed the situation? Xia Huan nodded. Unless they can't, at least, without paying a price, Wang Wei said with squinted eyes. How is that possible? Their faction is called the Primarch Origin Temple, but Emperor Path cultivators control 90% of its power. So, why not change it to the innate demon god temple? Isn't it because of luck? Xia Huan asked. The heaven primarch's luck is ancient and has existed since the world began. I figured since it originated from the time when they ruled above the Emperor Path, it was more beneficial to them to keep it. You would think so, but how much of that luck remains after so long? After their defeat in the innate acquired war? Wang Wei asked. In the current era, it's more beneficial for them to change their name and refine a secondary luck artifact to continue benefiting from the remaining luck of the primarchs. You may be right, but the only logical reason the temple lords haven't changed the name would be because it would be detrimental to them. Does that mean the primarchs have something capable of hurting a primal? No, that doesn't make sense. The demon race has had an overwhelming advantage after they created the bloodline slaughter talisman. If the temple had such a thing, they would have used it long ago. The demon race did not have 2 primals but 2.5. The bloodline slaughter trial allowed a peak paragon the true strength of a primal, with the restriction that it could not leave the primary domain of the tribal's sacred mountain. The talisman has allowed the sacred chiefs to attack the temple without worrying about someone infiltrating their bases. Wang Wei knew Shihuan was right. If the temple had any effective, true primal strength in reserves, they would have used it already. He looked in the distance, and his eyes turned completely gray as he channeled the power of fate. It's a curse, Wang Wei revealed. Every innate demon god must swear an oath before they absorb the heaven will. The backlash for breaking this oath is a curse of resentment woven through their existence, and through the temple's luck. These primarchs were not stupid. They knew the Emperor Path was the future, and they would eventually rule their temple. So, they made preparations to protect their lineage. Xie Huan looked at him. Such secrets cannot be calculated, and even if someone were successful, the backlash for such divination would kill them. However, her lord did it so casually, and he showed no signs of being affected. As expected of a Fate Dao cultivator. A curse? Xie Huan said. How terrifying must it be for even primals to have no solution? It's indeed brilliant. As long as the oath is broken, the temple's entire chi luck will be instantly destroyed, and the backlash is enough to kill 70% of all their cultivators. Moreover, the higher the cultivation, the greater the backlash. However, it's not foolproof. The assembly? Xie Huan asked. That's right. The demon's move was brilliant, but it also provided an opportunity for these primals. If the overlords can deem the Primarch a threat and decide to eradicate them, they only need to show slight resistance to fulfill their oath and acquire their freedom. That would explain their inaction, Xie Huan nodded. But isn't this plan risky? They have a large population of Primarchs, and their death will weaken them. Maybe in their eyes, the Primarchs have always been a liability to the temple, a sickness to their control or the temple's prosperity. And it's best to cut off the cancerous part for the body to heal. Maybe you're right, but it seems too risky to me, Xie Huan said. That's because your thinking is too narrow, Wang Wei uttered. A catastrophe where no one is safe. The last thing any faction wants or needs is liabilities or hindrances. While this move will weaken the temple against their enemy, the demons, it also has its upside. As long as they can buy enough until the catastrophe begins, the demon will not have the opportunity to take advantage of their plight. But no one knows when the catastrophe is coming. What if they make an error, and the demons do take advantage of their situation? No plan is guaranteed success, and you seem to be operating under the notion that they must wait for the catastrophe to arrive. You mean they would forcefully bring it out? Xie Huan asked in surprise. Yes, if they are desperate, it's possible. But wouldn't that make them traitors? Only if they are caught. Better yet, they only need to sacrifice someone to wash their hands of everything, Wang Wei sneered. They met face to face in her human appearance again to negotiate the price of the blueprints. The result was in the middle of Wang Ba's estimation. While Wang Wei wanted to sell it as high as possible, Heavenly Dao wanted people to use and benefit from the blueprint. In the end, they had to compromise. After this negotiation, Wang Wei discovered a new change to the scroll: other people can add their inventions for others to purchase for merit. There was also a spirit to negotiate the price. That was fast, he muttered. Such a swift action revealed that Heavenly Dao was putting all its attention on the world and the upcoming catastrophe. It won't be long before the scroll is made public, Wang Wei thought. According to his prediction, Emperor Kong should be getting access to the scroll about now, and in a little while, everyone in the world will too. Wang Wei exhaled. He left his mansion to return the scroll to Yanhai and explained the new changes. Then, Wang Wei teleported to the Origin Seal continent. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know and report so we can fix it as soon as possible.